Chapter 833. Pucci, Qin official was shocked. He didn't expect his pulse spirit to be so weak. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with coldness. Waves of invisible light shot out from his body and disappeared into the air like lightning. Rumble, at the same time, a terrifying aura exploded from Qin official's body. It turned into a dazzling talisman and finally formed the image of a large bell. The talisman on the large bell flashed and covered Qin official's entire body. When the large bell image appeared, the shocking pressure swept out like a tide. It was ancient and the pressure made people's hearts tremble. What a terrifying pressure! At this moment, the countless spectators around the mountains were all trembling. The talisman weapons in their bodies were also trembling. The terrifying pressure that spread out from the large bell image seemed to be able to crush everything. It was like a mountain pressing down on one's soul, releasing a huge pressure. Heavenly God Bell. That's the Heavenly God Bell of Alioth Hall. Alioth Hall actually gave the Heavenly God Bell to Qin official. Heavenly God Bell. That's an elementary grade Dharma artifact. It specializes in protecting soul attacks. With the Heavenly God Bell, it can protect one's soul from being destroyed. As the large bell image appeared, the expressions of the 7 hall experts on the high platform changed. That was the treasure of Alioth Hall. It was a true elementary grade Dharma artifact. Ko Jixiong sneered. That was the treasure of Alioth Hall. It specialized in protecting the soul against talisman masters. With the Heavenly God Bell, his disciple was almost invincible. Xiao Feng's soul power was not ordinary, but it was useless in front of the Heavenly God Bell. It's actually the Heavenly God Bell. Looking at the large bell image that Qin official had activated, Lin Weiqi, Dong Lidiao, and the others' eyes were filled with shock. Dang dang, 3 small needle-like objects appeared. They spread out talisman scripts and rippled with the pressure of a middle-grade Dharma artifact. If one didn't look carefully, it would be hard to notice. At this moment, they were blocked by the large bell image. The flames that surged out were unable to break through the large bell image's defense. Hee, Xiao Feng, are you surprised? Are you surprised that you can't plot against me? Your Tao treasure is useless. Under my heavenly divine bell, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. Officer Qin sneered coldly. The faint trace of blood at the corner of his mouth made him look even more ferocious. A stream of light flashed out from between his eyebrows and turned into an ancient bell the size of a palm. It released a peerless pressure that could topple mountains and overturn seas. I've long been on guard against you. Your plot is useless. What other methods do you have to contend against me? Officer Qin walked towards Du Xiaofu step by step. The ancient bell in his hand turned into a rune bell shadow that hovered around him, enveloping his body. At this moment, wherever Qin official's figure passed by, the large bell spiraled like an ancient mountain of runes. It pressed down on the vast sky, causing space to explode, as if it wanted to crush everything. Du Xiaofu waved his hand, and the 3 soul-destroying spirit needles were taken back into his body. He stepped into the air, and his long black hair swayed behind his head, giving off an overbearing aura. He was confronting Officer Qin with his own aura. Are you out of tricks? Then everything will end today. Being able to die under my divine sky bell is not a grievance for you. Officer Qin sneered, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The divine sky bell shadow moved horizontally, and its terrifying aura caused the entire void to tremble. It directly pressed down on Du Xiaofu. On the high platform, Ko Jixiong sneered. The divine sky bell was given to Officer Qin after the assembly of the 7 palaces, and Officer Qin had broken through to the martial emperor realm. Now, with the divine sky bell, it would be difficult for Xiao Feng to contend against it. The divine sky bell is too strong. It is a true magic weapon that can suppress souls. It is the nemesis of spiritual talisman masters. Can Xiao Feng still contend against it? At this moment, the experts of the 7 palaces secretly gasped for Du Xiaofu. Officer Qin, who had activated the divine sky bell, had reached a terrifying level. Could Xiao Feng, who was only at the peak of the complete 6th star, really withstand it? Activating the divine sky bell, Officer Qin sneered, and his killing intent soared. Today, he could finally kill Xiao Feng. New grudges and old grudges were irreconcilable. To Officer Qin, he had to tear Xiao Feng into pieces today. Rumble, under the suppression of the terrifying aura, the entire square rumbled. Under Officer Qin's activation, the vast and unparalleled aura from the divine sky bell enveloped Du Xiaofu. At this moment, under the suppression of the terrifying aura, the surrounding void had already rippled and exploded. Under everyone's gaze, Du Xiaofu moved. Instead of retreating, he advanced. He took a step forward, and the space trembled. He waved his hand and punched out. On the fist, lightning roared, and the space exploded. It was as if nothing could stop it. It was as if the space was about to be blasted apart by this terrifying punch. Boom! Du Xiaofu's punch did not retreat, and instead, he attacked the rune bell shadow. The terrifying aura was peerless, and it caused the rune bell shadow to stop in midair. Lightning wreaked havoc, and it trembled violently. It's only a beginner-grade magic weapon. Just blast it apart. As the cold words rang out, lightning flashed in Du Xiaofu's eyes under the mask. A terrifying aura swept across the surrounding space, and the surrounding space collapsed and sank. Lightning waves overflowed. Boom! With another punch, Du Xiaofu viciously punched the runic bell. He was completely unafraid of the pressure from the ritual implement on the divine sky bell. With your strength of a beginner martial king, you dare to activate this magic weapon when you haven't even completely merged with it. What a waste of this magic weapon. As the cold and disdainful words rang out, Du Xiaofu punched out again. Bang, bang, bang. In a short period of time, Du Xiaofu's punches were like raindrops, and they continuously bombarded the rune bell shadow. Every time Du Xiaofu threw a punch, the silhouette of the bell would vibrate intensely and break into pieces, along with a buzzing sound. That brat is actually using his physical strength to fight against the divine sky bell. There was no lack of people with extraordinary eyesight in the surroundings. At this moment, they were all shocked. Qiao Feng's strength was unbelievable. In front of everyone's eyes, Qiao Feng was using his physical strength to fight against the divine sky bell. How terrifying was that? If it was an ordinary peak complete 6-star spirit talisman master, in front of the divine sky bell, even 100 of them would have their souls crushed. Even an ordinary martial royal realm mysterious level cultivator would not be able to fight against it at this moment. At this moment, Qiao Feng didn't seem like a spirit talisman master at all. Instead, he was like a peerless ferocious beast, using his physical strength to fight against the divine sky bell. Looking at Qiao Feng's domineering strength, everyone couldn't help but hold their breaths. Their scalps went numb, and their hair stood on end. Do you think you can rely on the magic weapon to protect yourself? Just shatter it. Under the mask, Du Xiaofu's gaze was sharp. Although his voice was calm, it was incomparably domineering. Once again, his fist released terrifying lightning. The fist resonated with the energy of heaven and earth, causing lightning to flash and thunder to rumble in the sky. Out of nowhere, dark clouds rolled, causing people's hearts to tremble. Boom! When the fist landed, the rune bell that enveloped Qin official immediately cracked open, and lightning overflowed. Oh no! On the high platform, Ko Jixiong seemed to have felt something, and his face changed greatly. Crack crack, finally, the rune bell that enveloped Qin official directly cracked and turned into broken runes. It was as if it had evolved into a gorgeous scene, and the aura that spread out could be called destructive. Pfft! At this moment, fear appeared in Qin official's shocked eyes once again. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Qin official was in a daze. His expression was cold, as if he still couldn't believe that his opponent could actually shatter his divine sky bell's protection. Qiao Feng, I'm not done with you. However, in this short moment, the resentment and coldness in Qin official's eyes exploded. After communicating with the martial vein, a terrifying aura gushed out from his body like a flood that had opened the floodgates. Rumble. Suddenly, Qin official's long and narrow eyes that were filled with cold killing intent in the sky were filled with a deep and majestic light. There was a strange and dazzling light that covered his entire body. A strange and mysterious rune crisscrossed on the surface of his body, but it was as if it was covered by a colorful light, sizzle. At the same time, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Qin official's figure transformed into 36 figures that were exactly the same. 36 figures that were exactly the same. Even the aura was the same. No matter how sharp one's soul power was, it was impossible to distinguish between the real and the fake. What kind of technique is this? Gulp gulp, looking at the strange scene, countless people in the surrounding mountains were shocked. All of them couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. At this moment, within the bodies of the 36 Qin officials, there was a huge pressure that came from the depths of their blood and soul. It made people's hearts tremble for no reason, and they wanted to prostrate themselves. The illusory martial vein is close to the human sovereign. Dongli Diao and Lin Weiqi looked at the Qin officials at this moment. Their eyes fluctuated again at this moment. Even Dongli Diao's eyes were slightly focused. What an extraordinary illusory martial vein. On the high platform, Elder Cloud Leopard of Mazang Palace secretly revealed a look of shock in his eyes. Qiao Feng, go to hell. The 36 Qin officials' killing intent surged at the same time. The 36 figures pounced on Du Xiaofu like 36 bolts of lightning. 36 terrifying auras of the initial stage of the martial monarch stage burst out. Among the 36 auras, there was only one that was real. However, at this moment, it was impossible to distinguish between the real and the fake. Initial stage of the martial monarch stage, only the natural disposition of a human sovereign. Du Xiaofu raised his head. At this moment, the eyes under the mask shot out a blazing thunderous light that shot into the thunderclouds in the sky as if it had materialized. At the same time, waves of majestic aura accompanied by rolling thunderbolts erupted from Du Xiaofu's body like a volcano. Boom! In an instant, dark clouds gathered in the sky out of nowhere. The space shook violently with a loud bang. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The terrifying thunder might filled the sky, and countless thunderbolts pierced through the space. Is that the thunder ultimacy? On the high platform, under the thunder might, the expressions of all the experts changed abruptly. Rumble, the silver snake shuttled through the sky, and the space exploded and overturned. The thunderbolts were connected to Du Xiaofu and continuously descended from the sky, directly enveloping the 36 Qin officials. The thunder might spread. Wherever the thunderbolts passed, everything was annihilated in an instant. Chapter 834. Those bolts of lightning caused the hairs on one's body to stand on end just by looking at the might of the lightning that spread out. The living beings in the surrounding mountains almost wanted to prostrate themselves on the ground. Bang, 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 the terrifying thunderous power was destructive and could destroy everything. Out of the 36 figures of Qin official, 35 of them were instantly destroyed and exploded. The remaining figure of Qin official was once again shrouded by the divine sky bell, which turned into a ray of light. Break! Du Xiaofu's figure appeared. The moment he raised his hand, he clenched his hand into a fist and punched out. It was as if countless thunderbolts had appeared in front of him as he violently bombarded the divine sky bell. Boom! With such a terrifying power, even an ordinary martial royal realm mystery level cultivator would be severely injured, if not killed. The divine sky bell roared and then shook as it was sent flying. Qin official spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered out. The corners of his mouth were already dripping with blood. Sizzle, bolts of thunderbolts gathered in front of Du Xiaofu and turned his fist into a claw. His figure dashed out and the thunderbolt claw print raged as it headed straight for Qin official. Oh no! On the high platform, Ko Jixiong's face turned gloomy. At this moment, Qin official's eyes were filled with fear. Everything that had happened today was beyond his expectations. Qin official did not expect that even though he had reached the martial royal realm and had a beginner-grade celestial bell, he would still be unable to contend with Qiao Feng. Perhaps at this moment, Qin official finally realized how terrifying Qiao Feng was. Chi la la, the thunderbolt claw print swept across the sky as if it was going to tear the space apart. Qin official could not dodge it and a claw print was held on his neck. Qiao Feng, stop it. Qin official has been defeated. Stop it. On the high platform, Elder Ko Jixiong stood up at lightning speed and looked at Du Xiaofu in the sky above the square. His face was cold and his gaze changed as he shouted loudly. Du Xiaofu looked at Qin official, who was being held in his hand. Under the mask, there was a cold fluctuation in his eyes and a faint killing intent flashed across his eyes. At this moment, in Qin official's eyes, he felt as if he was looking at the Grim Reaper. His skin suddenly tightened and his hair stood on end. A feeling of fear involuntarily spread out from the depths of his heart. Whoosh, all of this happened in an instant. Within Du Xiaofu's claw mark, electric light wreaked havoc, and his 5 fingers clenched tightly. Kacha, as Officer Qin's fearful eyes trembled, a cracking sound came from his neck. In the end, he could clearly feel that his head and neck had been broken. Ah! With a final scream, his neck was broken. Official Qin's body was separated from his body and fell to the ground in a pool of blood. His head rolled, filled with fear. He died with a grievance. All of this happened too quickly. Qiao Feng had killed the Qin official in a clean and swift manner, and no one could stop him. The entire square, both inside and outside, and within the mountains, fell silent. Many people's eyes trembled, and a chill spread from their bones. Official Qin is dead. He was really killed. Heavens, Qiao Feng really killed Official Qin. After a short moment of shock, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air rose and fell in succession around the arena. No one had expected that Qiao Feng would really kill Official Qin on the spot. On the high platform, the experts from the 7 halls were also shocked. They looked at each other, and their expressions changed. Qiao Feng really killed Official Qin. It was really beyond everyone's expectations. Luring the snake out of its hole and hitting it where it hurts. This Qiao Feng did it on purpose. He is really cunning, Elder Yao Xing from Alcade Hall muttered. He looked at the young man in purple armor in the air with a deep gaze. Too strong. Outside the square, the robust young man was so shocked that his mouth could fit a duck egg. He looked at Du Xiaofu with incomparable astonishment. At this moment, the ones with the most ugly expressions were the people from Alioth Hall. They had never expected that Official Qin, whom the entire hall had spent countless resources to nurture, would be killed mercilessly by Qiao Feng at this moment. Qiao Feng, you're courting death. Elder Ko Jixiong's body trembled. Seeing his beloved disciple's head separated from his body, he couldn't be more dead. His body trembled, and a chill spread from his eyes. His murderous voice resounded throughout the square. We agreed that he was responsible for his own life and death. He died because he was not as skilled as others. Du Xiaofu looked at Ko Jixiong. Although he knew that he was in Alioth Hall, but facing Official Qin, a person who wanted to kill him, Du Xiaofu did not hesitate at all. He had let him escape last time, and this time he struck first to gain the upper hand. A person who wanted to kill him, no matter where he was his biggest threat. The best way was to kill him on the spot. Otherwise, there would be no end of trouble. Just like Gu Yu from the Divine Light Court, Du Xiaofu would not show mercy. You're responsible for your own life and death. You clearly intended to kill him. You're provoking Alioth Hall. Ko Jixiong's face was gloomy, murderous intent surging in his eyes. The beloved disciple he had nurtured wholeheartedly and placed too much hope on was killed on the spot. How could he let this go? Du Xiaofu looked straight at Ko Ji-xiong, and said with a cold smile, he wanted to kill me, but was killed by me instead. Is Alioth Hall really determined to be shameless today? Boy, you're challenging the dignity of Alioth Hall. Today, I will not let you go. Ko Ji-xiong was furious, the murderous intent in his eyes undisguised. Is Alioth Hall really not planning to be shameless today? When young people compete, the rules are that they are responsible for their own life and death. Now that an accident has occurred, you can't blame others. A low voice came from Elder Zhu Xiu of Migres Hall, and his towering body stood up. Elder Zhu Xiu's gaze, which had always been calm and tranquil, began to emit a terrifying light at this moment. Looking at Ko Ji-xiong in front of him, he said in a deep voice, if Yuheng Palace really intends to be shameless today, then my Migres Palace can only fight. Elder Zhu Xiu's voice reverberated through the plaza, representing Migres Hall's absolute stance. The accident has occurred, it is a pity. But today is the Conference of Seven Halls, let's continue the Conference of Seven Halls. My condolences, Elder Ko. Elder Yun Ziqin said indifferently. The meaning in her words was self-evident, she was supporting Migres Hall. This accident is indeed regrettable, but today is the Conference of Seven Halls, let's continue, Elder Yin Xuanlang said. Young people are responsible for their own life and death. Qiao Feng was a bit ruthless, but they set the rules themselves. We all saw it, and did not break the rules. Elder Cloud Leopard looked at Ko Ji-xiong and said, Elder Ko, my condolences. Today, the entire spirit realm is watching. Alioth Hall, please conduct yourself with dignity. Qiao Feng did not break the rules. The Conference of Seven Halls is important, let's continue, Alcade Hall's Elder Yao Xing said. Qiao Feng was a bit ruthless, but this is between the two of them. The death of official Qin is also a loss to our seven-star hall. Elder Ko, my condolences, Sky Pivot Hall's Elder Chui Fu also spoke. At this moment, when the experts of the various halls spoke, almost all of them were directly expressing their support for Migres Hall. Ko Ji-xiong's expression was extremely cold. He had to be wary of the words of all the halls. At this moment, Ko Ji-xiong knew that no matter how much he wanted to kill Qiao Feng, if he provoked the displeasure of all the halls, then Alioth Hall would not be able to survive. Good, 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 gnashing his teeth and saying good 3 times, Ko Ji-xiong looked at the plaza and said, the Conference of Seven Halls will continue. Junior brother Zhang, you will preside over the Conference of Seven Halls. As his voice fell, Ko Ji-xiong stared coldly at Du Xiaofu in the plaza. With a wave of his hand, the divine spirit heavenly bell floating in the air returned to his hand. Then, he flicked his sleeve and left. A primary grade magic weapon. Looking at Ko Ji-xiong taking away the divine spirit heavenly bell, Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with reluctance. That was a true magic weapon with terrifying power. It was a pity that he could not keep it in his bag at this moment. The Conference of Seven Halls will continue. On the plaza, a disciple of Alioth Hall collected official Qin's corpse on the ground and left the plaza. Elder Zhang immediately stood up with an ugly expression and his voice resounded throughout the plaza. The Conference of Seven Halls will continue. Countless onlookers in the surroundings heaved a sigh of relief. However, they knew in their hearts that after today, the grudge between Migres Hall and Alioth Hall would not be easily resolved. The expressions of the experts of the 7 halls on the high platform changed. They watched Ko Ji-xiong leave and did not say anything. Everyone could understand the feeling of watching one's beloved disciple being killed on the spot. Ko Ji-xiong naturally could not stay any longer. On the plaza, as Elder Zhang's voice fell, Lin Weiqi, Dongli Diao, Yu Bai, Wu Ma Sheng, and Sun Wu stepped forward. However, their gazes fell on Du Xiaofu intentionally or unintentionally. From the strength that Du Xiaofu had displayed when he killed official Qin, the 5 of them could not help but pay attention to Du Xiaofu. Only 4 people will remain in the first round. 2 more people will need to leave. Yu Bai, Sima Sheng, you two should join forces and let us end the conference of 7 halls earlier. Dongli Diao looked at Yu Bai of Merak Hall and Wuma Xing of Tianji Hall, as if he thought that these two were the weakest among the 6. Yu Bai and Wuma Sheng looked at each other and looked at Dongli Diao with fear in their eyes. There's no need to join forces. Merak Hall can still afford to lose. However, if you want to win, I'm afraid you will have to pay a price. Yu Bai looked at Dongli Diao. His handsome face was filled with determination and his aura fluctuated. He was at the peak of a 6-star talisman master and was almost a 7-star talisman master. As a talisman master, Yu Bai's combat strength was definitely not to be underestimated. He disdained to join forces with others to deal with Dongli Diao. Even if he won, it would be equivalent to losing. As the representative disciple of Merak Hall's younger generation, Yu Bai had his own pride. Chapter 835. That's right. No matter who wins, let's fight first. Wu Ma Xing nodded. As the leader of the young disciples of Tianji Palace, even if he could not win, he could not give up without a fight. Let's finish this quickly. However, I don't need to take advantage of you. Lin Weiqi said. She moved forward and her long legs moved. Her eyebrows were raised and her red dress was like fire. She stared at Yu Bai from Tianji Palace. Looking at Lin Weiqi's gaze, Yu Bai felt bitter. He smiled bitterly. Dongli Diao's eyes moved. He knew that Lin Weiqi did not want to take advantage of him. She did not want him to fight alone. With a faint smile, Dongli Diao said to Lin Weiqi and Wuma Sheng, if that's the case, let's do it. Swish. As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura fluctuated from his body. Runes flashed and Dongli Diao's body seemed to be covered in white flames. A powerful aura burst out and he dashed towards Wuma Sheng. Go! Wuma Sheng looked serious. However, he did not retreat. He formed a seal with his hand and it turned into a beam of light that shot towards Dongli Diao. Swish! Almost at the same time, Yu Bai's aura fluctuated and he formed a seal with his hand. Runes flashed and he started to form a talisman array. I'm in a hurry. Let's not form a talisman array. Lin Weiqi said. Her red dress fluctuated and beautiful runes spurted out like flames. In the next instant, Lin Weiqi's graceful body appeared in front of Yu Bai like a bolt of lightning. A palm print wrapped in blazing flames seemed to spread through the air, burning fiercely and directly enveloping Yu Bai. Yu Bai's expression changed. He had to give up on forming a talisman array. He formed a palm print in his hand and faced the attack. Bang! There was a dull sound and Yu Bai's palm print collapsed. The flames on Lin Weiqi's palm print were terrifying. The runes spread and they seemed to be able to burn the air. They continued to press towards Yu Bai. You have reached the martial royal realm. At this moment, Yu Bai seemed to have discovered something. However, it was already too late for him to dodge. The blazing palm landed, destroying his defenses. His body was instantly sent flying back, and when he finally managed to stabilize himself, some blood flowed out from his mouth. I lost. Yu Bai raised his head and looked at Lin Weiqi. He smiled bitterly. What a special flame. Not far away in the square, Du Xiaofu was also moved by Lin Weiqi's raging flames. That kind of raging flame was not ordinary. Bang! At the same time, Wuma Xing's body was also knocked back. He slid across the ground and his face was pale. It was difficult for him to fight against Dongli Diao. I have lost. Wuma Xing raised his head. He could not afford to lose without a fight, but there was no need for him to continue fighting even though he knew that he was no match for him. Dongli Diao's strength was indeed not what he could withstand. As Yu Bai and Wuma Xing lost without any suspense, there were only 4 people left on the field. At this moment, In addition to Lin Weiqi and Dong Lidiao, there were also Du Xiaofu and Sun Tian. The cheers of the spectators around the square were endless. The names of the 4 people resounded through the clouds. Being able to enter the top 4 was enough to prove their strength. In this world where strength was respected, the strong had always been worshipped and yearned for. It was a kind of fanaticism and pursuit of strength. Looks like it's a little special this time. On the high platform, many of the strong people were moved. Originally, many people had placed Dong Lidiao and Lin Weiqi as the favorites to win the competition of the 7 palaces. However, with Officer Qin's death, everyone knew that Xiao Feng was definitely a strong opponent for Lin Weiqi and Dong Lidiao. In the second round, according to the rules of the previous years, the 4 of you will fight against the last of the 7 palaces. Lin Weiqi of the Tianshu Palace will fight against Sun Tian of the Alcade Palace. Xiao Feng of the Migres Palace will fight against Dong Lidiao. Now, the second round begins. Elder Zhang stood up and looked at the 4 people on the square. However, he still did not look good. Lin Weiqi straightened her body and glanced at Du Xiaofu and Dong Lidiao. Then, she looked at Sun Tian and said, "Let's begin." Then, "Let me see the raging flame martial vein." Sun Tian looked at Lin Weiqi and did not say anything. An aura of cultivation above the peak of the martial king realm burst out from his body. It vaguely carried the aura of the martial emperor realm. Half martial emperor realm. Lin Weiqi's bright eyes moved slightly and flame-like runes flashed out from her fiery red clothes. "Then, I won't be polite." Sun Tian attacked. His figure flashed and a black rune ribbon appeared in his hand. It instantly pierced through the space and swept towards Lin Weiqi. What an extraordinary black star art! Lin Weiqi stretched out her hand and shook her wrist. Her slender hand grabbed the air and a flame gathered into a handprint. She directly caught the black rune ribbon in her hand. The 2 of them were on the verge of making a move. "I really want to know how strong the successor of the weapon sovereign is. You seem to be not only a spiritual talisman master but also a martial Dao talisman master." Dong Lidiao looked at Du Xiaofu. He could feel that the mysterious young man named Xiao Feng was definitely not just a spiritual talisman master. Xiao Feng's physical strength was definitely not something an ordinary spiritual talisman master could possess. "You're right. Go all out. Otherwise, you won't have many chances to attack." Du Xiaofu looked at Dong Lidiao. For the time being, he did not know what Dong Lidiao's true form was. However, Du Xiaofu could feel that Dong Lidiao's true form was definitely ranked high on the heavenly beast list. The aura on its body was not to be underestimated. It was definitely not below the silver-winged demon eagle and the scarlet cloud dragon. "You're very arrogant, but you have the ability to be arrogant. However, you've only killed official Qin. You're not arrogant enough in front of me." As Dong Lidiao's voice faded, his battle robe fluttered and his body leapt out. The pattern on his cloak was like a phoenix spreading its wings. He stretched out his hand and a palm print immediately slapped towards Du Xiaofu. He wanted to gain the initiative by striking first. His aura was violent and vigorous. Du Xiaofu raised his head and punched towards Dong Lidiao. It was simple and direct. Bang! The fist print suddenly collided with the former's palm print, causing the square to resound with muffled thunder. The force swept out and dispersed. Du Xiaofu's body swayed slightly before he stabilized his body. Dong Lidiao's body staggered back 3 steps. His palm was numb and his eyes were filled with shock. He had the body of a demonic beast, but at this moment, his opponent's strength was unimaginable. Boom! Dong Lidiao no longer hid his aura. The stable aura of a beast emperor swept out. He stretched out his hand and a claw print tore through the space. It faintly formed 5 long spatial cracks in the air. With a sonorous sound, it pressed towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu punched again. There was a faint purple flame flickering on his fist. It was as fast as lightning and collided with the former's fist. This was the most direct confrontation. He did not care about Dong Li Diao's demonic beast body at all. Boom! Dong Li Diao's body was pushed back again. His face was much paler. At this moment, the pride in his eyes was replaced by a serious and shocked expression. That Xiao Feng's body is so strong. He actually gained the upper hand in a head-on confrontation with Dong Li Diao. On the high platform, the experts from the 7 temples were also astonished. Elder Cloud Leopard of Mizang Temple was even more nervous at this moment. He locked his gaze on the square. You are indeed qualified to make me use my full strength. Dong Li Diao looked at Du Xiaofu. At this moment, he no longer held back his aura. The runes on the surface of his body erupted as if they were going to drown the square. Then, in a very short time, Dong Li Diao's body turned into a giant eagle that was more than 1,000 feet long. The giant eagle spread its wings and covered the sky. Its wings emitted white runes like a phoenix. Its body was covered with white clouds and its feathers were shining. Cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle. Du Xiaofu's eyes were slightly surprised. Dong Li Diao's true form was actually a cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle that was ranked above the Xianyun scarlet dragon on the heavenly beast list. It was said that this cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle had the bloodline of the legendary phoenix. Its power was amazing and its bloodline was extraordinarily noble among the demonic beasts. Ku! Dong Li Diao's true form screeched. Runes flooded the square and shook the surroundings. Its aura was extremely strong. Just its aura alone was far above Qin Guan's. Very strong. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered under his mask. Dong Li Condor's true form, the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor, was indeed extraordinary. The aura of a beast emperor that had just ascended to the beast emperor realm, coupled with the power of the bloodline in its body, could make an ordinary martial emperor realm cultivator retreat. Ku! Dong Li Diao's true form pounced on Du Xiaofu. It flapped its wings and a terrifying wind of runes swept the sky like a storm. If the square had not been restricted by the runes, it would have cracked and exploded. Du Xiaofu looked at Dong Li Diao's true form that was sweeping toward him. He waved his hand and an aura gushed out. His feet touched the ground and he did not retreat. Instead, he moved forward and wanted to ride on Dong Li Diao's true form. Ku! The cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle screeched. Its feathers glowed and it flapped its wings. A terrifying aura burst out and forced Du Xiaofu to retreat. At the same time, the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle's eyes were sharp and proud. It had a noble and majestic aura. Its sharp claws seemed to tear the sky apart as it quickly grabbed at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu made his move. At this moment, his body was extremely small compared to the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle. However, the aura that burst out of his body directly resisted the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle. Du Xiaofu shook his arm and blasted out a fist seal. Dazzling talisman patterns gushed out like the stars in the night sky. It carried a kind of vast aura that covered the sky and swept out. The appearance of the fist print caused the space around the square to dim. It was as if it could swallow the light. The night sky was about to appear. The pressure suppressed the sky and made people tremble. Today's update is complete. Chapter 836. Boom! The fist collided with Dong Li Diao's sharp claws, destroying its power and suppressing the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle. Ku! The cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle screeched, the sound waves piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks, causing the space to fluctuate like waves. It was extremely shocking. Then, it swept its wings like a phoenix spreading its wings, fiercely flapping towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu waved his fist, bringing along lightning as he directly collided with the attack, showing no fear at all. On the square, Lin Weiqi and Sun Wu were also fighting, but they were drowned out by the fierce battle between Dong Li Diao and Du Xiaofu. The huge beast and the fierce young man were fighting fiercely on the square. The sound waves swept across, causing the space to explode, causing the square that was sealed with restrictions to rumble and shake. All the onlookers were dumbfounded and trembled. Dong Li Diao's strength was too strong. The cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle's bloodline was so strong that it was the absolute king among the beasts. No matter if it was its speed or the strength of its body, it was unparalleled. However, Qiao Feng was even more shocking. With the strength of his body, his fists were like rain, fiercely fighting against Dong Li Diao's cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle. He was not at a disadvantage at all and was even suppressing Dong Li Diao. In the sky above the square, a man and a beast, both of whom were outstanding talents of the younger generation, fought fiercely, shaking the mountains. Coo-coo, the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle roared. Its huge body was powerful. It was not as fierce as the silver-winged demonic eagle, but it was more noble and moving. The cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle's claws could tear the space apart, and its wings could move mountains and seas. Every attack had the power to shatter mountains and crack the earth. Du Xiaofu clashed with Dong Li Diao. Every time he clashed with Dong Li Diao's body, there would be runes filling the sky and muffled thunder. The impact of the collision made countless onlookers tremble. Dong Li Diao was very strong, the king among the beasts. However, Qiao Feng was even more shocking. His small physical body was able to erupt with such terrifying energy. To be able to clash with Dong Li Diao and not be at a disadvantage, even suppressing him. Dong Li Diao's main body screamed. His sharp eyes became more and more serious. He could feel how strong this person was. This was the first person he had ever met in his generation, and this person was also a human. A fierce attack was launched. Dong Li Diao attacked with all his strength. Runes erupted and power surged. Du Xiaofu wasn't afraid. He fiercely confronted the enemy head-on. The explosion of energy caused the hearts of those watching from afar to tremble. Is Qiao Feng really just a talisman master? He can actually suppress Dong Li Diao with his physical strength. Why do I feel that Qiao Feng is more like a demonic beast? His physical body is even stronger than Dong Li Condor's true form, the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor. In the surrounding mountains, all the onlookers were trembling with fear. On the high platform, the experts from the 7 palaces were also stunned speechless. Elder Cloud Leopard of Mizar Hall had a serious expression. The young master is unfathomable. Elder Zhu Xiu's eyes were as calm as an ancient well. He was extremely shocked. Du Xiaofu was fighting fiercely. He didn't use any trump cards, purely relying on the strength of his physical body. He fought until his blood boiled. Lightning flashed in his eyes and purple flames surged. This was a pure battle. Du Xiaofu's fighting spirit was aroused by Dong Li Diao. Du Xiaofu wanted to know how strong his physical body was. It was rumored that the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor had the bloodline of the legendary phoenix. The power of its bloodline was incomparably tyrannical. The phoenix was a terrifying existence that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the azure dragon, white tiger, and other supreme beasts in ancient times. Dong Li Diao's cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor was very strong. Du Xiaofu had seen its tyrannical strength. It was indeed not inferior to the silver-winged demonic condor and the Xianyun scarlet dragon. Its bloodline power was even stronger. However, Du Xiaofu resisted it. Although he didn't use the power of the golden-winged great rock, his physical body had always been like the golden-winged great rock. Especially after various refinements and baptisms, Du Xiaofu's physical body had become even more terrifying. He was able to resist Dong Li Diao directly. Fight! Du Xiaofu shouted. The fighting spirit in his body surged. He waved his fist and purple flames surged. It was like the wings of a purple-flamed demonic phoenix. It fiercely collided with the wing of the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor. The purple flames erupted with a blazing aura that seemed to be able to burn everything. It brought with it a great pressure that seemed to be able to suppress the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor. In the end, it turned into rolling purple flames that wrapped around the wing of the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor. The blazing flames whistled and covered the sky. Coo! The cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor cried out in pain. It flapped its wings and exploded with runes, extinguishing the purple flames. However, one of its wings was already stained with blood. Its feathers were messy and blood flowed out. Continue. Du Xiaofu shouted. He unconsciously used the wave-like free spirit steps. His movements were unpredictable. Pure physical strength wrapped in thunder and lightning swept out. It was as if a huge thunder ball had fallen from the sky and smashed onto Dongli Diao's back. Its elder sister's footwork. Is he with her? At the edge of the square, the bear-like youth looked at Du Xiaofu's footwork in the air with astonishment. Boom! Du Xiaofu's fist fell with the force of thunder. The runes on Dongli Diao's back were struck by lightning. In the end, Dongli Diao spat out blood. Qiao Feng is too strong. On the high platform, the experts from the 7 palaces were also shocked. To be able to injure Dongli Diao with his physical strength, that terrifying strength was too strong. Moreover, Dongli Diao's cultivation level was much higher than Qiao Feng's. If they were at the same cultivation level, Dongli Diao would have been trampled. Is Qiao Feng really human? Dongli Diao's eyes trembled. Qiao Feng's physical strength was not something a human should have. Fight! Du Xiaofu took the opportunity to land on the back of Dongli Diao's cloud phoenix blood eagle. Coo! Dongli Diao screeched. Runes burst out. It flapped its wings and spun, releasing the most terrifying power. Suppress! Du Xiaofu's fighting spirit was boiling. Lightning flashed on his body and he was wrapped in runes. He was like a god of war, suppressing with great power. He was like a boulder on Dongli Diao's back. No matter how hard Dongli Diao struggled, it could not move. Bang! During the confrontation, Du Xiaofu stepped forward and sat on Dongli Diao's body. His left hand grabbed the feathers on Dongli Diao's back and his right hand clenched into a fist. Fist after fist fell down like rain. Du Xiaofu's fists were wrapped in lightning. With the sound of thunder, they continuously landed on Dongli Diao's back. The runes on Dongli Diao's back were shattered. Dongli Diao's body trembled in the air. Coo coo. At the same time, Dongli Diao's cloud phoenix blood eagle let out a sharp cry. The runes on its body shot into the sky and finally turned into a white cloud phoenix blood eagle that was extremely close to a phoenix. It was like a living creature. Phoenix blood eagle shadow, that is Dongli Diao's innate bloodline ability. Dongli Diao has awakened the phoenix blood within its body. On the high platform, Alcade Hall's radiant star elder cried out in alarm. The complexions of many powerhouses changed. That was the strength of Dongli Diao's bloodline. Only by awakening the phoenix blood within its body could Dongli Diao stimulate the strength of its bloodline. Not all cloud-piercing phoenix blood condors were able to awaken the phoenix blood in their bodies. Once the phoenix blood was awakened, the cloud-piercing phoenix blood condor would be infinitely close to the legendary phoenix. The phoenix blood eagle's shadow was terrifying. It suppressed Du Xiaofu, emitting a terrifying and resplendent divine light. That terrifying power could affect the heavens and earth. It could move mountains and overturn seas. It was mysterious and terrifying. The pressure was impressive, causing everyone to tremble. Their bloodline souls were suppressed. Du Xiaofu looked up. He also felt a terrifying power. It was tyrannical and extraordinary. Go! Du Xiaofu looked at the phoenix blood eagle shadow. His eyes under the mask flickered with battle intent. He waved his hand, and mysterious runes flickered. Finally, another blade of grass was condensed and shot out. This blade of grass had slender spiritual leaves. It was as if it was real. Mysterious runes flickered, and a pressure suddenly descended from the sky, causing everyone's eyes to tremble. This blade of grass was not inferior to the grass of immortality. It was rarely seen in the world. This blade of grass then turned into a beam of light, erupting with a terrifying power. Like thunder, it shot towards the phoenix blood eagle shadow, immediately suppressing it. Then, the blade of grass seemed to fuse with the phoenix blood eagle shadow. It directly dissolved the terrifying phoenix blood eagle shadow into broken runes. Puchi, Dongli Diao's true body, the cloud phoenix blood eagle shadow, once again spat out blood. Its sharp and proud eyes dimmed, and its aura immediately withered. What kind of profound is that? It's too terrifying. On the high platform, the powerhouses of the 7 halls were so shocked that they were speechless. A blade of grass had actually broken Dongli Diao's phoenix blood eagle shadow's bloodline power. No one could recognize this blade of grass. Qiao Feng's strength was unfathomable, mysterious, and terrifying. Du Xiaofu continued to sit on Dongli Diao's true body, swinging his fists. He was incomparably valiant, ferocious, and domineering. Punch after punch landed. Dongli Diao's back was dripping with blood, and feathers fluttered down. Its huge body was directly crushed and smashed into the square, causing the ground and mountains to shake. Countless people in the surroundings were stunned. Dongli Diao had been defeated so cleanly. He was suppressed to the ground by Qiao Feng. The purple-armored youth floated down from the sky, as if he was a god of war riding a divine bird that had descended to the mortal world. It was a shocking sight. Lin Weiqi had defeated Sun Wu at some point. Her graceful figure looked at the purple-armored youth on Dongli Diao's back, and her beautiful eyes rippled with brilliance. I've lost. Dongli Diao opened his mouth. His eyes withered, and blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. His pride had been destroyed by the youth on his back. That terrifying youth had defeated him with physical strength. He also knew that the youth on his back had not yet reached the Emperor realm. If the youth had also reached the Emperor realm, Dongli Diao would have been even less of a match. Chapter 837. As a cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle, Dongli Diao had his own pride. However, this pride had to be suppressed in front of absolute power. Du Xiaofu jumped off the eagle's back and stepped onto the square. His long black hair danced behind his head. Under the mask, his eyes shone with tears. He was like a god of war. Dongli Diao withdrew his body. His handsome face was as pale as ash, and the corners of his mouth were mottled with blood. He looked at Du Xiaofu in front of him and said, "The aura on your body is not like that of a human. Are you a man or a beast?" "I have some connections with the beast race." Du Xiaofu said. "It's fine if I lose. At least I feel better now. You are indeed stronger than me. I'll leave Lin Weiqi to you. She might be stronger than me. She's not a woman to be trifled with." After Dongli Diao finished speaking, his eyes were filled with pride again. His figure flashed and left the square. "We still lost." Elder Cloud Leopard from Mizang Palace smiled bitterly. They had prepared for the conference of the 7 palaces for so long and placed all their hopes on Dongli Diao. However, in the end, a dark horse like Qiao Feng appeared. In the square, only Lin Weiqi and Du Xiaofu were left. Sun Wu had also left the square. He was not Lin Weiqi's opponent. "You are very strong." Lin Weiqi looked at Du Xiaofu. Her slender body was wrapped in a fiery red dress. She looked extremely beautiful. There was no smile on her beautiful face, but there was a kind of fiery elegance. "It seems that I have never lost before." Du Xiaofu looked at the girl in front of him. Her beautiful body was emitting an extremely dangerous aura. "You are quite thick-skinned. Even if you win against Dongli Diao, you might not be able to win against me." Lin Weiqi looked at Du Xiaofu, her eyes rippling. The mysterious young man in front of her gave her a feeling that she couldn't see through him. But at this moment, he didn't leave any traces behind. He seemed extremely calm and composed. His temperament and appearance caused the hearts of countless men to palpitate. You'll know once you try. Although you're a woman, I won't give in to you, Du Xiaofu said. Do women need you to give in? I hate people who look down on women the most. Lin Weiqi's expression changed. She hated people who looked down on women the most. As a woman, she had never been defeated by anyone in her generation. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, her heart was filled with anger. Boom, Lin Weiqi's aura rippled. She didn't hold back at all. The aura of the martial emperor realm's early stage swept out like a storm. That's not what I meant. I'm not looking down on women. Du Xiaofu explained. As the storm-like aura swept over, the profound energy in his body surged, and his aura instantly erupted. Women are not inferior to men. What men can do, women can do too. Lin Weiqi's temperament had changed. She was hot and elegant just now, but now, her hair was dancing, her breath was burning, and her red dress was rising like fire. Her temperament had become cold and proud. Qi. Lin Weiqi waved her hand, and a scimitar spun out from her long sleeve. The pressure suddenly swept out. She tiptoed lightly, and her figure swept toward Du Xiaofu like lightning. Whoosh! In a short moment, Lin Weiqi appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Her wrist turned the hilt of the saber, and the saber streaked across the air. The saber light was like electricity, and it carried a blazing flame. It was accompanied by a faint orchid fragrance as it instantly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. A high-grade Taoist artifact. Du Xiaofu raised his gaze slightly and tapped his foot on the ground. At the same time, his figure slid back in a straight line. A scimitar appeared in his hand. It was a high-grade Dao artifact that he had refined during the Myriad Weapons Conference. Hula, the scimitar appeared, and Du Xiaofu slashed out at the same time. A frost python phantom swept through the air, freezing the space, and frost appeared in the sky, blocking Lin Weiqi's attack. Lin Weiqi's eyes trembled, and the scimitar in her hand spun faster and faster, as if it wanted to rotate the space, forming a vortex. Then, the scimitar in Lin Weiqi's hand flew out, and the blade-light vortex surged with blazing runes, like a black hole, and swallowed Du Xiaofu. Go! The scimitar in Du Xiaofu's hand flew out, and the runes suddenly erupted. Roar! The dazzling runes flickered, and instantly condensed into a profound cloud scarlet dragon phantom, a huge golden python phantom, a silver-winged demonic eagle phantom, a swan Ni phantom, and a frost python phantom. The 5 beast phantoms roared, and their aura swept out like a vast ocean. They were domineering and fierce, and their power was shocking. They directly rushed toward Lin Weiqi's blade light vortex. The aura of the 5 beasts surged in the air, and the mysterious runes spat out, sweeping through the world. The 2 scimitars collided, and the dazzling runes immediately began to collide, surging in all directions. Raging flame martial vein. At the same time, Lin Weiqi's hand seals condensed, and the mysterious runes on her graceful body rose. A blazing aura erupted, and Lin Weiqi communicated with her martial vein. A human king's aura was extremely close, and the aura of a human sovereign exploded. It was much stronger than the martial vein's aura on official Qin. Lin Weiqi knew that Xiao Feng in front of her was terrifying, and he was an unimaginably strong opponent. So, she attacked with all her strength, without any unnecessary probing. Otherwise, she would not have been able to defeat Xiao Feng. Before today, Lin Weiqi did not even care much about Dongli Diao. Because her heart had always been in the Central Plains. She wanted to fight with the top figures in the One Valley, 2 religions, and the 3 sects and 3 factions. But now, her heart was in turmoil. If she could not defeat Xiao Feng, who appeared out of nowhere, then she would not be able to go to the Central Plains to fulfill her dream. Walala, a terrifying pressure descended, and the heat could melt one's qi and soul. With her graceful body as the center, a terrifying blazing flame seeped out of the void, revealing runes. In an instant, it turned into a sea of fire that could burn everything. The raging flame martial vein is really terrifying. Rumor has it that the raging flame martial vein, at its peak, can burn all living things and destroy the world. Elder Yun Zichin, who was on the high platform, exclaimed, her eyes fixed on the field. The surging flames burned, and an incomparably hot aura swept towards Du Xiaofu to devour him. The heat seemed to want to burn everything. In an instant, it swallowed up a large area of the square, and the sea of fire burned in the air. That flame is too terrifying. Some people exclaimed and gasped for Du Xiaofu. Rumble, within the sea of fire, there was a sudden tremor. Within the scarlet flames, a surge of purple flames suddenly spread out. Then, under everyone's gaze, the young man who had just been swallowed by the flames appeared in the sea of fire. His body was wrapped in rolling purple flames, and the purple flames were like a purple sun. At this moment, the young man's eyes under the mask were also like purple suns. An extremely terrifying aura erupted, causing the space to tremble and rumble. The aura of the purple flamed demonic phoenix. Outside the square, Dong Li's eagle eyes trembled. He felt the aura of the purple flamed demonic phoenix on Xiao Feng's body. It was rumored that the purple flame demonic phoenix was only a little bit weaker than the golden winged Dapeng. If it could undergo a nirvana transformation, it could finally become the top existence in the world. Compared to his original body, the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagle, it was not just a little bit stronger. At this moment, as Du Xiaofu appeared, the purple flames on his body spread. At this moment, the rolling flames in the surroundings seemed to be pushed away by an invisible giant hand, and they scattered, unable to get close. What a terrifying aura! Xiao Feng's methods are unfathomable. Elder Cloud Leopard, Elder Yao Xing, and the others looked at the figure wrapped in purple flames, and their eyes were filled with shock. The purple flames and the raging flames confronted each other, and runes scattered as they fiercely clashed. As the two of them clashed, waves of dazzling and blazing radiance erupted one after another, shaking the entire square to the point that even the heavens and earth were shaking. Ka! The mountains outside the square began to crack, and the earth quaked, making people tremble with fear. The confrontation between the two had actually reached such a level. Ayo! Within the raging flames, a hissing sound suddenly resounded, and a raging flame dragon soared into the sky, roaring and rolling. The raging flames covered the sky, engulfing the sky. It seemed to be able to destroy everything, and it brought with it a terrifying pressure of the world. Raging flame dragon, that's Lin Weiqi's bloodline spirit. Someone cried out. The raging flame dragon was Lin Weiqi's bloodline spirit, a monstrous beast with an astonishing bloodline on the heavenly beast rankings. Its bloodline level was not below the cloud-piercing phoenix blood eagles. Ayo! The raging flame dragon roared, and the resplendent runes whistled. It erupted with a terrifying aura, and fiercely pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Boom! Du Xiaofu condensed a hand seal, and the five-colored spiritual stove and talisman cauldron condensed in front of him. It erupted with a terrifying pressure, and released a five-colored divine light, directly resisting the raging flame dragon. The five-colored spiritual stove and talisman cauldron seems to have an extraordinary spiritual root aura. I've never seen it before. Elder Yun Zichin, Elder Yin Xuanlang and the others sighed in amazement. They sensed a spiritual root aura that they had never seen before from the five-colored spiritual stove and talisman cauldron. Rumble! The raging flame dragon clashed with the five-colored spiritual stove and talisman cauldron, causing extremely terrifying waves of air. The raging flame dragon was very powerful, but the five-colored spiritual stove and talisman cauldron had a pressure that could suppress the raging flame dragon, making it unable to advance in the slightest. Break! Du Xiaofu shouted softly, and pushed the five-colored spiritual stove and talisman cauldron forward. The five-colored divine light flickered and spread, and as if it was a supreme being, it forced the raging flame dragon to retreat. Afterwards, the raging flame dragon's phantom was destroyed, turning into dazzling runes that dissipated in the sea of fire. Chapter 838. Lin Weiqi's beautiful figure appeared in the sea of fire. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth and her face was pale. Her eyes rippled. Lin Weiqi didn't expect Xiao Feng to be even stronger than she had imagined. He could be said to be invincible. She had never met an opponent in the same generation in spirit realm, but now, Xiao Feng seemed to be invincible. Lin Weiqi felt a great pressure. Xiao Feng was too strong, abnormally strong and unfathomable. It seemed that he hadn't used his full strength yet, but she had. Am I really going to lose? Lin Weiqi looked at the mysterious and domineering youth in the sea of fire. In the entire spirit realm, she had never lost to anyone in the same generation. In Sky Pivot Hall, she had always been high and mighty. She was the pride of the heavens and the leader of her generation. In this 7-hall conference, Sky Pivot Hall had placed all their hopes on her. Now that she was going to lose, her dreams were blocked, and even Sky Pivot Hall was going to lose face. Boom! Du Xiaofu stepped forward, retracting the spiritual stove and talisman cauldron that was spreading a tremendous pressure. Step by step, he walked towards Lin Weiqi in the middle of the sea of flames. With each step, the surrounding raging flames dispersed, revealing a tyrannical aura. Walala! Lin Weiqi's hand seals condensed, and the flames on her body burned, wrapping around her beautiful body. She was like a fire fairy, powerful and elegant, incomparably moving. Voila! Taking the initiative, Lin Weiqi struck out with her palm. The rolling flames condensed and turned into a flaming hand seal. Her beautiful figure was peerless at this moment. Du Xiaofu pointed at the air in the sea of fire. His body rose into the air, and purple flames rolled. At this moment, it seemed that a pair of purple flame wings had condensed around his body. He was like a purple flame demon phoenix descending from the sky. Chi! A purple flame claw fell from Du Xiaofu's hand. It was like an eagle soaring into the sky, hot and beautiful, violent and fierce. This claw was not flashy at all. It was already formed, and the claw fell directly. Rumble! Such a collision caused even the surrounding space to rumble and erupt with an expanse of dazzling talisman markings. Violent energy swept towards the surroundings, and rumbling sounds resounded endlessly in midair. At this moment, the mountains in the distance were also cracking apart, and the ground was exploding. The scene was horrifying. The raging flame handprint was torn apart, and the sea of fire dispersed. Dang dang, Lin Weiqi's delicate body was knocked back, and she slid down to the ground of the square from the air. Her face was already pale, and blood spurted out from the corner of her pale lips, staining her fiery red dress. Her aura was extremely weak. He lost as well. Dongli Diao looked at Lin Weiqi in the square. He didn't seem to be surprised. I've said it before, I've never lost to anyone of my generation. Du Xiaofu landed on the square and said to Lin Weiqi. That's right, I lost. Lin Weiqi bit the corner of her lips and looked at Du Xiaofu. Her eyes rippled as she said, I hope that you can also lead the 7-star hall to the grand event in the central state not long from now, and continue to be undefeated. Although I don't know what the grand event in the central state is, I will guarantee that whoever dares to provoke me, I will not let them have an easy time. Du Xiaofu said, looking into the distance. His eyes rippled. Compared to that race, he was still not enough, still too weak. In this 7-hall conference, Migres Hall's Xiao Feng is the champion. On the high platform, after the shock, Elder Zhang looked at the square and announced. Defeating Lin Weiqi and Xiao Feng winning the championship was not what Alioth Hall wanted to see. Artifact Emperor Xiao Feng. Around the mountains, waves of cheers rose and fell, and the cheers shook the clouds. Today, the youth in purple soft armor had killed the Qin official with an unparalleled domineering attitude, suppressed Dongli Diao, and defeated Lin Weiqi. It was shocking and made people's hearts tremble. Xiao Feng is too strong. He is the strongest of his generation in spirit realm. Who can compete with him? Countless spectators exclaimed in shock. The disciple of the artifact venerable called Xiao Feng had appeared in spirit realm as a dark horse and looked down on spirit realm. Young Hall Master did not disappoint Migres Hall. For the first time in so many years, my Migres Hall has won the championship. Elder Zhu Xiu, Tao Yu, and the others from Migres Hall were all shocked and overjoyed. I didn't expect Migres Hall to win in the end. Man proposes, God disposes. Elder Cloud Leopard, Elder Yao Xing, and the others sighed with bitter smiles. In the future, the strongest of spirit realm's younger generation will be Artifact Emperor Qiao Feng. It will no longer be Lin Weiqi of Dubhe Hall or Dongli Diao of Mizar Hall. Artifact Emperor Qiao Feng is rumored to be the disciple of the Artifact Venerable. Naturally, he is extraordinary. It seems that the Artifact Venerable is still alive. Other than that kind of expert, most people would not be able to train such a strong disciple. The spectators all around started to prepare to leave. They discussed with shock in their hearts. On the square, Du Xiaofu was also preparing to leave the stage. Suddenly, he looked at the sky. At the same time, on the high platform, the experts of the 7 halls seemed to feel something and looked at the sky. Whoosh whoosh. High up in the sky, dozens of figures came and landed on the square. Waves of terrifying auras were faintly discernible as they rippled, causing the entire space to solidify. Among the first few people was Ko Jixiong, who had left earlier and returned. The dozens of figures were all extremely strong. Some of them even had auras that were clearly above Ko Jixiong's. Greetings, elders. The surrounding disciples of Alioth Hall bowed. Elder Zhang, who was on the high platform, looked at the dozens of people who had just arrived, and bowed respectfully as well. They were powerful warriors of Alioth Hall, and their status was much higher than his. There seems to be a change. The countless spectators who were about to leave felt the sudden change in the square and stopped to look in puzzlement. The 7-hall conference has ended. Migres Hall's Qiao Feng killed my Alioth Hall's enforcer and will be captured for investigation. Surrender. In the air, Ko Jixiong shouted. His eyes were cold as he looked at Du Xiaofu in the square. As Ko Jixiong's voice fell, everyone in the square was stunned. Alioth Hall had sent such a big lineup, and it seemed to be for Qiao Feng. On the high platform, the experts of the various halls were moved, but they were still watching. The atmosphere in the square became extremely oppressive in an extremely short period of time. In Merak Hall, behind Elder Yun Ziqin, an inconspicuous middle-aged woman sat. She wore a veil and a hood, and only when she raised her head slightly did she reveal an extremely beautiful face. She must have been a peerless beauty when she was young. The middle-aged woman looked at the square with clear and bright eyes. She looked at the young man in purple soft armor, and there were faint traces of fluctuations in her eyes. The expressions of Elder Zhu Xiu and the others changed greatly. They immediately stood up and looked at Ko Jixiong. What does Alioth Hall mean by this? Do you really want to start a war with my Migres Hall? Zhu Xiu, Qiao Feng killed my Alioth Hall's enforcer. Whether he is from Migres Hall or not, he will be severely punished. For the sake of Migres Hall, we will investigate further. If Migres Hall wants to start a war, then let's start a war. My Alioth Hall's enforcer is not someone you can casually touch. Beside Ko Jixiong, an old man who seemed to be about the same age as Elder Zhu Xiu spoke. However, his aura was extremely powerful, and his position seemed to be extraordinary. I think Alioth Hall is doing this on purpose. Because of official Qin's death, Alioth Hall is deliberately targeting my Migres Hall. Elder Zhu Xiu bellowed. At this moment, a mountain-like aura erupted from his towering body. Qiao Feng just won the 7-star hall competition and will represent the 7-star hall in the central state. If there is a conflict between him and Alioth Hall, it seems inappropriate to investigate now. If Qiao Feng killed Alioth Hall's enforcer, there must be a reason for it. Let's investigate thoroughly first. Alioth Hall doesn't need to go through so much trouble. Elder Yun Ziqin, Elder Yin Xuanlong, Elder Cloud Leopard, Elder Yao Xing, Elder Cui Fu, and the others spoke one after another. Qiao Feng had just won the competition and the Central State's grand event was coming soon. At this moment, Alioth Hall was targeting Qiao Feng. In addition to the previous conflict between Alioth Hall and Migres Hall, it was indeed inappropriate. Alioth Hall couldn't ignore the opinions of the experts from various halls. The old man who spoke just now looked at the crowd and said, "All halls are overthinking. Our Alioth Hall will naturally investigate thoroughly. However, Qiao Feng must be captured today. After the investigation, we will naturally give all halls an explanation." Alioth Hall dares. Elder Zhu Xiu shouted. They couldn't let anything happen to the young hall master in Alioth Hall. Elder Zhu Xiu knew that if the young hall master fell into the hands of Alioth Hall, the consequences would be unimaginable. Those from Migres Hall, please conduct yourselves with dignity. Otherwise, Alioth Hall will have no choice but to suppress you. In mid-air, an old man spoke and waved his hands slightly. Immediately, more than 10 figures flew out from behind him. Their auras locked onto Elder Zhu Xiu and the others on the high platform. More than 10 auras, all of them were martial royal realm experts. Among them, there were a few auras that were no weaker than Elder Zhu Xiu's. On the high platform, the expressions of the experts from the various halls changed. Alioth Hall had sent out such a large group of people, including many elders who rarely showed themselves. It seemed like they were determined to capture Qiao Feng today. Sending out such a large group of people for Qiao Feng was beyond everyone's expectations. It also made them feel suspicious. Elder Zhu Xiu's eyes were filled with dread. This was Alioth Hall, the mountain gate of Alioth Hall. Once a fight broke out, there was nothing he could do. Below the square, Dongli Diao, Lin Weiqi, and the others were watching the changes in the square. At this moment, under the gaze of many people, Du Xiaofu's eyes under the mask began to darken. Swoosh, a figure leaped onto the square and appeared beside Du Xiaofu. He said, "These people from Alioth Hall seem to be here to deal with you." Du Xiaofu looked at the figure that suddenly appeared and was surprised. It was actually the robust young man who knew how to use the wave-like free spirit steps. "Do you want to escape first? You saved me before, so I'll help you," the robust young man said to Du Xiaofu in a serious tone. Today's update is complete. Chapter 839. Du Xiaofu looked at the well-built young man and was stunned for a moment. Then, he shook his head slightly and swept his gaze across the dozens of experts from Yuheng Hall. They were all martial emperors and there were even a few auras that had surpassed the martial emperor realm. Martial honored realm? Du Xiaofu muttered in his heart. Those few auras that had surpassed the martial emperor realm were most likely martial honored realm. To ordinary cultivators, the martial honored realm was a legendary existence. At that moment, Du Xiaofu knew that even if he and the well-built young man used all their strength, they would not have any chance of escaping from Yuheng Hall. As for the experts from Migres Hall, Elder Zhu Xiu's strength should be between a 7-star spiritual symbol master and an 8-star spiritual symbol master. In Yuheng Hall, he would not be able to contend against Yuheng Hall, let alone Bailey Su and the others. "If you're not going to escape, are you going to surrender?" The well-built young man looked at Du Xiaofu. At that moment, he seemed to be even more nervous than Du Xiaofu. "You can leave first. I appreciate your good intentions," Du Xiaofu said to the well-built young man beside him so that he would not implicate the young man. Then, he raised his head slightly and looked at the familiar face in the air. He said to Ko Jixiong, "Looks like Yuheng Hall is even more inferior than I thought. If you want to deal with me, why do you have to go through so much trouble? Anyway, what can Yuheng Hall not do?" Looking at Du Xiaofu, Ko Jixiong's expression finally became extremely gloomy. He could no longer suppress his cold anger. "Brat, you're courting death." Ko Jixiong laughed angrily. His figure moved in the air and caused the surrounding space to tremble. His figure seemed to have transformed into a flash of lightning and directly pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Seeing Ko Jixiong's figure move, Du Xiaofu's expression instantly changed and he immediately pushed the well-built young man beside him away. Qi La. At the same time, Ko Jixiong's figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, accompanied by a vast pressure. His aura was almost beyond the martial royal realm. A claw print directly went to capture Du Xiaofu. In front of the claw print, the space froze, imprisoning everything. Roar! The dragon roar shook the sky. Du Xiaofu waved his hand, and a stream of rune light suddenly burst out from his hand like a dazzling sun, suffused with a dense metallic luster. A huge dragon-shaped puppet roared out. Its lantern-like eyes were filled with a gloomy color, revealing a kind of ruthless coldness. It collided with Ko Jixiong's claw with an unparalleled posture. Roar! In a short instant, the aura of a peerless beast swept out from the dragon-shaped puppet. Terrifying energy surged out like a storm. The runes on the surface of its body flowed endlessly. With the runes activated, a dragon soared into the sky. Dang dang, under the sudden attack of the dragon-shaped puppet, Ko Jixiong's claw was blocked and he was sent flying back. Roar! A huge dragon coiled in the air. A majestic aura that did not belong to the peak of the beast royal realm spread out from its body and hovered in the air. That's a puppet. What a terrifying puppet. Qiao Feng still has such a terrifying thing on him. Instantly, everyone was shocked. It was a dragon-shaped puppet in the air. There were not many puppets with such an aura in the Central Plains. There were too few artifact symbol masters in the world who could refine such puppets. Behind Elder Yun Ziqin in the Beta Hall lineup, the beautiful middle-aged woman whose face was covered by a veil and a hood looked at the dragon-shaped puppet hovering in the air. Ripples once again surfaced in her clear eyes. Ko Jixiong was sent flying back. His gaze was also cold as he looked at the terrifying dragon-shaped puppet in the air. Ko Jixiong did not know if he wanted to resolve the embarrassment of his mistake or if he was extremely furious. The corners of his eyes twitched. He looked at Du Xiaofu and sneered, "No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. You are relying on this dragon-shaped puppet. Yuheng Hall is truly despicable. Apart from bullying the weak with numbers, you are also bullying the weak with your elders." Du Xiaofu stood on the dragon-shaped puppet and coldly stared at Ko Jixiong. Subsequently, he looked at the group of Yuheng Hall experts hovering in the air and said, "Since the experts of Yuheng Hall are all here, why not attack together? I am definitely not your match and it will be too easy to capture me. Why do you need to attack one by one and save yourself the trouble?" As Du Xiaofu's words sounded, the entire place was in an uproar. The expressions of the experts from the various halls on the high platform changed. Qiao Feng's words were clearly provoking all the experts of Yuheng Hall. Especially at such a time. Was he trying to go against the entire Yuheng Hall? However, after the uproar, many of the more perceptive people in the crowd looked at Du Xiaofu with admiration. Although many powerhouses from Yuheng Hall had come, given their status, it wouldn't be good for them to make a move now that Qiao Feng had spoken. If the reputation of bullying the weak with numbers and elders was spread, the entire Yuheng Hall would lose face. Therefore, no matter what, it would be inconvenient for those experts to act given their status and Yuheng Hall's reputation. Du Xiaofu looked at all the experts of Yuheng Hall in the air. Surrendering without a fight was not in Du Xiaofu's character. However, Du Xiaofu also knew that his current cultivation was far from enough to contend against the entire Yuheng Hall. Therefore, as long as the experts of Yuheng Hall did not act, even if he was facing an expert like Ko Jixiong, Du Xiaofu estimated that he would have a chance to escape as long as he had not truly stepped into the venerable realm. That kid is very shrewd and scheming. Official Qin did not die in vain. Elder Cui Fu of Yuheng Hall looked at the young man on the dragon-shaped puppet in the air above the square and smiled softly. "Kid, don't try to win a battle of words. If we want to capture you, we don't need to act. Yuheng Hall has its own disciplinary hall to deal with you. Elder Ko is one of the elders of the disciplinary hall. It is enough to capture you. The elder who was talking to Elder Zhu Xiu stared at Du Xiaofu, his wrinkled face flashing with a hint of green and red. Humph, do you think you can escape with your tongue and this inanimate object? Dream on. Ko Jixiong looked at Du Xiaofu fiercely. No matter what, whether it was for public or private reasons, he could not let this kid called Xiao Feng go today. Otherwise, Yuheng Hall would not be able to establish itself in spirit realm in the future. Boom! As Ko Jixiong made up his mind, a majestic aura slowly spread out from his body. As this terrifying aura spread out, wind and clouds surged in the sky above the square. The energy of heaven and earth became chaotic. Rumbling sounds came from the depths of the clouds, shaking people's souls. As this aura spread out, the entire mountain range trembled. The terrifying pressure made people tremble. Peak of the martial monarch realm, one step into the martial venerable realm. Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. At this moment, although Ko Jixiong's aura was not as strong as his master Gu Qingyang's, there was a faint Zun-level aura on his body. Du Xiaofu guessed that Ko Jixiong already had 1 foot in the Zun level. Qiao Feng, you'd better run quickly. That old fellow is determined to deal with you. The robust young man was pushed to the side by Du Xiaofu. At this time, he shouted again, worried for Du Xiaofu. Third young master. Bailey Su was worried, his eyes flashing coldly. However, there were more than a dozen experts of Yuheng Hall surrounding them and he could not go forward. If Yuheng Hall dares to touch our young hall master today, Migres Hall will not let them go. We will call for all forces and declare war on Yuheng Hall. Elder Zhu Xiu shouted, his eyes cold. Although there were not many disciples of Migres Hall, with the rallying power of a weapon talisman master, as long as they raised their arms and called for help, they would be able to unite a lot of forces. In addition to Migres Hall's own strength, it would definitely be a terrifying lineup. Let's fight then, Yuheng Hall is not afraid. An expert said, his aura locked onto Elder Zhu Xiu, Bailey Su, and the others. As long as they moved, they would immediately activate their lightning to suppress them. Du Xiaofu looked at Ko Jixiong, his eyes were cold under the mask. He did not expect Ko Jixiong to be willing to put down his face to deal with him. It seemed like he had to give it his all to have a chance to leave today. Kid, surrender. You can't escape today. Ko Jixiong attacked, he did not want to delay any longer. Runes flashed in his eyes and a terrifying aura exploded. It was tyrannical and terrifying, shaking the entire square. A palm print slammed towards Du Xiaofu, who was on the dragon-shaped puppet. Boom! The palm print moved the energy of heaven and earth, bringing with it a cold yin qi. It suppressed Du Xiaofu, it was too terrifying. The terrifying aura made Du Xiaofu's eyes narrow, it brought with it a sense of danger. Young master, be careful. Third young master, be careful. On the high platform, Elder Zhu Xiu and Bailey Su shouted, their auras exploding. They could only fight with their lives on the line. Presumptuous. On the high platform, more than 10 auras exploded, directly pouncing towards Elder Zhu Xiu and Bailey Su. Yuheng Hall is getting worse and worse. Have you caused enough trouble? At this critical moment, a gentle voice suddenly sounded from the high platform. Suddenly, a dazzling light exploded in the Merak Palace. Wherever the light passed, it formed a wave of air that resembled a bright moon. Dang dang! Dozens of terrifying auras that were pouncing towards Elder Zhu Xiu and Bailey Su immediately collapsed and were destroyed. Dozens of figures were directly blown away. One by one, figures were sent flying in a straight line, each of them spitting out blood. Chapter 840. Bullying the young with your age, Alioth Hall is no longer what it used to be. The gentle voice continued. At the same time, a woman appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. She was so fast that she seemed to be able to change her position, affecting time and space. Du Xiaofu couldn't see through her. Pfft! The woman's figure appeared. Her fair wrist shook slightly, and then a stream of talisman markings flashed out gently and directly descended onto Ko Jixiong's terrifying palm. Suddenly, Ko Jixiong's terrifying palm print was destroyed silently like a hot knife through butter. It was simply unparalleled. Pfft! In a short instant, Ko Jixiong's body was pushed back in midair. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth and his eyes were filled with shock. The entire square was silent for no reason. This scene had happened too quickly. The sudden change caused everyone in the square to be stunned. Du Xiaofu looked at the woman who suddenly appeared in front of him. Looking at her back, there weren't many fluctuations in her aura, but it was unfathomable and as calm as water. Du Xiaofu could feel that this person's aura was even more powerful than the ancient Sky Sect's Grand Master, the Golden Rock Reverend. All of a sudden, the gazes of everyone in the square fell on the woman who had suddenly appeared. It was a beautiful middle-aged woman. She wore a veil and a hat, and her figure was as charming as ever. There was clearly not much aura emanating from the beautiful middle-aged woman's body. However, when one looked at her, it was as if they were looking at the universe. It was vast, boundless, and unfathomable. It faintly caused one's soul to palpitate. She's from Alioth Hall. Someone on the high platform recognized that the beautiful middle-aged woman was from Alioth Hall. The experts of Alioth Hall and Ko Jixiong all looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman in shock. There was deep fear in their eyes. They knew that the beautiful middle-aged woman was too powerful. At this moment, even the people in Alioth Hall were a little surprised. They didn't seem to know the beautiful middle-aged woman's identity. Only Elder Yun Ziqin stood up and stood on the stage, looking at the middle-aged woman with a respectful expression. When the Beta Hall's members saw Elder Yun Ziqin's reaction, they immediately rose to their feet and stood respectfully. The more they thought about the middle-aged woman's identity, the more they thought about it. May I ask who you are, and why are you interfering in the matters of my Yuheng Hall? The first to speak was the extraordinary elder from Alioth Hall. He looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman, and his eyes narrowed slightly. There was a deep fear in them. You are not qualified to know my identity. The beautiful middle-aged woman said to the elder who had quite a high status. After that, she no longer paid any attention to him. She turned her head slightly and took off the veil on her head, revealing a green palace dress. Although she looked middle-aged, her temperament was refined, as if she was untainted by the mortal world, causing people to sigh in admiration. Who is Xiahou Fenglei to you? The beautiful middle-aged woman looked at Du Xiaofu and asked Du Xiaofu. Xiahou Fenglei. Du Xiaofu was startled. He had never heard of this name before. You said you are the disciple of the Weapon Venerable. Don't tell me you don't even know your master's name. The middle-aged woman frowned slightly as she looked at Du Xiaofu. Her eyes flickered slightly, but her voice remained gentle as she said, your skill in weapon refinement is unable to prove that you're the disciple of Xiahou Fenglei. Now, you better show me proof that you're Xiahou Fenglei's disciple. Otherwise, let alone Alioth Hall, I won't let you go either. I am the disciple of the Weapon Venerable. Why do I need proof? Du Xiaofu looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman in front of him. This person's identity was not ordinary. From her tone, it seemed like her relationship with his master was not ordinary. He said, moreover, may I ask Senior, why do I need to prove myself to Senior? My surname is Mu. 1,000 years ago, people called me Fairy Yu. Beta Hall was founded by me. If you are Xiahou Fenglei's disciple, has he ever mentioned me to you? The beautiful middle-aged woman looked at Du Xiaofu and asked. After these words were spoken, the entire square suddenly froze. In an instant, the gazes on the high platform trembled. The experts from the various palaces on the high platform suddenly stood up. Their bodies and gazes could not help but tremble. Fairy Yu, she is Fairy Yu, the palace master of Beta Hall. She still exists in this world. Fairy Yu, is she really Fairy Yu? Rumor has it that she was the super expert who founded Beta Hall. Around the square, people exclaimed in shock. A super expert from more than 1,000 years ago had appeared. It was unbelievable. At this moment, even many people in Beta Hall were surprised. The legendary palace master had appeared, and they couldn't tell if she was real or fake. Welcome, Palace Master. Under everyone's gaze, Elder Yun Ziqin bowed. There was no surprise in her eyes. Only she knew that this was the Palace Master of Beta Hall, the legendary super expert from more than 1,000 years ago. Greetings, Palace Master. Seeing this, the experts of Beta Hall immediately followed Elder Yun Ziqin and bowed. Their faces were filled with excitement and joy. The legendary Palace Master had actually appeared today. At this moment, all the experts of Alioth Hall looked at each other. They were stunned and didn't know what to do. Senior, are you the Palace Master of Beta Hall? Du Xiaofu's body trembled. His master, revered weapon, had said that only the Palace Master of Beta Hall could be trusted in the 7-star hall. At this moment, the legendary Palace Master of Beta Hall had appeared in front of him. She was an expert from more than 1,000 years ago. She still existed in this world, and she was still as charming as ever. Fairy Yu looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Show me the evidence to prove your identity. Otherwise, I will have to investigate it myself." Du Xiaofu stared at the Palace Master of the Merak Palace before him. Despite the latter's calm aura, the latter's eyes were currently filled with an immense pressure that made it impossible for Du Xiaofu to resist. The latter's aura was far too powerful. Master did mention Senior to me. He told me to go to Beta Hall to look for Senior when necessary. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and opened the square box on his back. Then, he threw it to the Palace Master of Beta Hall. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt that if the Palace Master of Beta Hall was really as trustworthy as his master, revered weapon, had said, then he had to believe in her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to find his master's body in Alioth Hall. He wouldn't even be able to pass this hurdle. Looking at the square box that Du Xiaofu tossed over, Yu Xianzi's eyebrows twitched slightly. With a flick of her wrist, under the gazes of countless people, she reached out and caught the square box in her hand. Then, she formed a hand seal and easily removed the seal that Du Xiaofu had placed on the square box. Boom! The moment the square box was opened, a terrifying storm of evil aura swept out and soared into the sky. Roar! A shocking aura of runes whizzed out. The brilliance was dazzling, and there were faint roars of dragons and tigers that sent chills down one's spine. At the same time, Fairy Yu looked at the item in the square box. Her calm and clear eyes slowly froze. At the same time, the world seemed to have begun to freeze. In the air, the square box was closed. Fairy Yu's body was like a statue. The aura on her body was fluctuating and connected with the world. The terrifying aura caused the energy of the world to surge. The world quietly froze, causing the martial royal realm and martial honorable realm cultivators to tremble. Their eyes were filled with horror and they almost wanted to crawl. No one was able to see what was inside the square box. However, everyone could clearly sense that Yu Xianzi's heart was surging at this moment. Under the gaze of countless trembling gazes, Yu Xianzi threw the square box back to Du Xiaofu after a while. Her statue-like body relaxed slightly, and her lifeless eyes began to fluctuate. Then, she regained her calmness and looked straight at Du Xiaofu. With a soft voice, she asked Du Xiaofu, "Is your master dead or alive now?" Du Xiaofu took the square box and continued to carry it on his back. He looked at Fairy Yu and replied, "Master is still alive." "Alive, that's good. That's enough." When Fairy Yu heard this, a smile appeared on her charming face like a young girl. Then, she looked at the sky and said softly, "An old friend is here. Famous minister, don't you plan to come out and meet her?" "Ha, since Fairy Yu is here, how can I not come out?" It's just that Fairy Yu appeared silently, which made me neglect her. Don't you think I'm treating you as an outsider? As Fairy Yu's voice fell, a hearty voice came from the sky. Just as the last word fell, a dazzling light fell from the sky like thunder in the square. Hula, this dazzling light released a strong light that made people unable to look directly at it. It contained a great pressure. Then, a slender figure walked out from the strong light and slowly appeared in the air. This person was over 70 years old. His hair was black and smooth, and his face was extremely rosy. However, the hair on his temples was silver. He wore a scholar's robe and had an extraordinary temperament. With the appearance of this old man, the world trembled again. His aura did not seem to be below Fairy Yu's. There was an inexplicable pressure spreading out from his body. He's not below the Merak Palace Master. Du Xiaofu looked at the old man. Relying on his sharp spiritual perception, he could tell that the aura of the old man was definitely not below Yu Xianzi's. This was another super expert. Chapter 841. Could it be the Lord of Yuheng Palace? Du Xiaofu's expression changed. Only the Lord of Yuheng Palace could have such a terrifying aura and be called an old friend by the Lord of Tianxian Palace. Your Yuheng Palace is not as good as it used to be. Yu Xianzi looked at the elder and said softly. It is not as good as it used to be. However, I want Xiao Feng. The old man glanced at Du Xiaofu with a deep look in his eyes. Where is your master now? Looking at the elder's eyes, Du Xiaofu felt as if he was being stared at by a ferocious beast. His heart trembled for no reason and a feeling of extreme danger spread in his heart. I think you should know where my master is. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and said. His master's physical body was in the hands of the Lord of Yuheng Palace. Back then, his master was attacked by the Lord of Yuheng Palace and was severely injured. In the end, his primordial spirit was sent to the dark forest. Du Xiaofu hated the fact that his cultivation base was not strong enough to deal with the Hall Master of Alioth Hall. Otherwise, he would have attacked him directly. Hearing this, the elder looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Little boy, you are so stubborn. I am afraid that we will have to verify whether he is Brother Fenglei's disciple. This is a serious matter. Let him stay in my Yuheng Palace for the time being. I have already verified it. I believe that he is Xiahou Fenglei's disciple. Yu Xianzi said and looked at the elder. Is Yu Xianzi talking about the thing in the box on the little boy's back? I am also curious about what it is. It is always good to have one more person to verify it. Let me also verify it. As the old man's voice faded, he looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Little kid, give me that item. If I can verify it, I won't make things difficult for you. I am sorry. My master said that no one can see it except for the Lord of Tianxian Palace. Du Xiaofu said, looking at the old man. Back then, the old man had ambushed his master for the heavenly palace of violet gold. Now, the heavenly palace of violet gold could not fall into his hands. Kid, the revered weapon is my good friend. Now that he's not here, I have the right to check and find out where he is. I can't let others fish in troubled waters. The old man's voice was clear and calm. As his voice fell, the space around him froze. His figure slowly walked towards Du Xiaofu, intending to take the square box on Du Xiaofu's back. You cannot touch him. Yu Xianzi crossed the space and blocked in front of Du Xiaofu. Her aura fluctuated. Fairy, what do you mean by this? Brother Feng and Brother Lei's whereabouts have been unknown for a long time. The old man looked at Yu Xianzi. Although he looked calm, his aura started to become a little intimidating. Initially, I wasn't sure and only suspected. But now, I'm sure. It's been over 1,000 years. You've been in hiding for so long, your patience is truly extraordinary. Recently, you finally couldn't bear it any longer. Yu Xianzi raised her head and looked at the old man with ripples in her eyes. Fairy, what do you mean? The old man's gaze moved. His expression was calm, but he was secretly emitting a cold aura. You should know what I mean. You are not a famous official of GMO. Who are you? Yu Xianzi looked at the old man and asked. Her aura started to fluctuate. Forgive me for not understanding fairy's words. The old man looked at Yu Xianzi and said. It's fine, you will know in a while. I believe that the true official of GMO will be able to prove himself. Yu Xianzi looked at the old man and said. Her aura fluctuated stronger and stronger. That terrifying aura caused Du Xiaofu to feel a terrifying pressure even though he was close to her. The aura of the Heavenly Jade Palace Master was even stronger than his grand teacher, Honored Golden Rock. This was a terrifying expert. Fairy, are you planning to attack me? You don't seem to have any chance of winning. The old man looked at Yu Xianzi and said with a sharper voice. That's right. I do not have much chance of winning alone. However, they should be here by now. Yu Xianzi looked at the surrounding sky and said with a deep meaning. At the same time, the old man's expression fluctuated as he looked at the sky. Could it be that more experts are coming? Du Xiaofu thought to himself when he heard Yu Xianzi's words. Qi. Just as Du Xiaofu was puzzled, an aura fluctuation came from the sky. Soon after, the crowd was surprised to see two dazzling rays of light silently appear in the sky like two suns. As the two lights appeared, the world trembled. Then, a figure walked out from each of the lights. On the left, there was a man who looked to be in his 40s. He wore a purple patterned robe and his long hair was also purple. This person's facial features were like a sculpture. When he was young, he must have been extremely handsome. Even now, he had an extraordinary temperament and exuded a noble aura of a king. The other person looked to be in his 70s. He had a muscular body and his robe was embroidered with star patterns. He looked like a living creature as he emitted a pressure. Purple Sky Sovereign, Qian Xing Sovereign, you're finally here. Yu Xianzi looked at the two people with a faint smile in her clear eyes. Although she was middle-aged, she was still breathtaking. Purple Sky Sovereign, Qian Xing Sovereign, those are the Hall Masters of Mizang Hall and Alcade Hall. Are they really Purple Sky Venerable and Venerable Qian Xing? They are our Hall Masters. They can't be fake. Only the Hall Masters have that kind of aura. The Hall Masters have arrived. At this moment, on the high platform, Elder Cloud Leopard, Elder Yao Xing and the rest were trembling. Greetings, Hall Master. On the high platform, Elder Cloud Leopard, Elder Yao Xing and the rest immediately bowed in excitement. You're just in time, Yi Zichen said. High up in the sky, the purple-haired man's laughter was like thunder as he landed beside Yu Xianzi. Where are Mad Sovereign and Alchemy Sovereign? Yu Xianzi asked the purple-haired man, have they started the plan? If the plan goes smoothly, they should be able to arrive in a while. The sturdy old man, who looked to be in his 70s, landed. His gaze then landed on Du Xiaofu, who was standing on the dragon-shaped puppet. The star patterns on his long robes seemed to be alive, emanating pressure as he said, is this kid the disciple of that guy? There should be no mistake. He's his disciple. He's still alive. Yu Xianzi nodded and said. It's good that that guy is alive. After so many years, I thought he was dead. The purple-haired man said as he looked at Du Xiaofu curiously. Purple Sky Sovereign, Qian Xing Sovereign, I didn't expect you to come too. High up in the sky, looking at Purple Sky Sovereign and Qian Xing Sovereign, the old man's expression changed. His expression was no longer calm. If you're real, you should call me by my real name, Yuan Xinghai. You've made a mistake again. The sturdy old man looked at the old man of Alioth Hall and said with a thunderous voice. He was Qian Xing Sovereign of Alcade Hall, Yuan Xinghai. He was a famous figure in the central region more than 1,000 years ago. It seems like you've been suspecting me for a long time. For this day, you must have planned for a long time. Finally, the old man took a deep breath and looked at Yu Xianzi, Purple Sky Sovereign, and Qian Xing Sovereign. His gaze turned sharp as he said, I thought my plan was flawless. How did you suspect me? It's been a few hundred years. I'm only sure of it recently. Purple Sky Sovereign looked at the old man and said, You've hidden yourself well. Indeed, your plan is flawless. However, you've forgotten one thing. Who is the real GMO minister? How could he cause Alioth Hall to deteriorate over the past few hundred years? Furthermore, with the relationship between GMO minister and Xiahou Fenglei, how could he hold himself back for so long without showing himself when Xiahou Fenglei went missing? Purple Sky Sovereign paused for a moment and looked at the old man, You've hidden yourself too well. Although we had our suspicions, we were unable to confirm it. However, for some reason, you seem to be unable to hold yourself back recently. In addition to the appearance of that child, we guessed that if you were related to the disappearance of revered weapon, you would definitely act against the child. Unexpectedly, it was as we expected. Therefore, we were certain that you're not the real GMO minister. You're a fake. The Alioth Hall master is a fake. Du Xiaofu was stunned. After listening to the conversation between the super experts, Du Xiaofu was surprised that the Alioth Hall master was a fake. At this moment, everyone was shocked. The dignified Alioth Hall master was actually a fake. This news was too unbelievable. Ha 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 ha, the old man's expression darkened. He suddenly raised his head and laughed. His laughter carried a sinister sharpness. Following that, a terrifying aura exploded from his body. His clothes were torn and his hair fluttered in the wind. Suddenly, the old man's figure changed. He was wearing a yellow robe and his head was covered by a hood. Only a pair of deep eyes could be seen. Faintly, those deep and sharp eyes seemed to be flickering with electricity. It was especially eye-catching under the sunlight. Is the Alioth Hall master really a fake? Everyone's expression changed. The sudden change today was beyond everyone's imagination. Jade Fairy, Purple Sky Sovereign, and Sovereign Qian Xing looked at the yellow-robed man in front of them. Their gazes were secretly fluctuating. Bang bang, suddenly, a shocking explosion came from the Alioth Hall in the distance. It was as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking. The entire mountain range was shaking. A terrifying aura swept over from afar. Runes swept across the sky like the sun. At the same time, the yellow-robed man's expression changed greatly. He looked at Jade Fairy, Purple Sky Sovereign, and Sovereign Qian Xing and said in a deep voice, It seems like you guys have been planning this for a long time. I didn't want to act rashly and alert the enemy. I didn't expect that I had underestimated you guys. You guys are deliberately creating a diversion to lure the tiger away from the mountain. It seems like Sovereign Kuang and Sovereign Dan have already raided your lair. Surrender yourself. Tell us, who are you? Sovereign Qian Xing looked at the yellow-robed old man and said. His aura fluctuated and froze in the sky. Today's update is complete. Chapter 842. You don't need to know my identity yet. We might meet again in the future. Trust me, you can't change anything. The world is already set in stone. The world is about to change. This is the will of the heavens. Nothing can stop it. As soon as the yellow-robed elder finished speaking, his figure disappeared from the spot. Chi! In the next moment, the space in front of Du Xiaofu suddenly fluctuated. A terrifying aura spread out, causing Du Xiaofu to feel a sense of danger that he had never felt before. His hair stood on end. Boom! A dazzling light suddenly swept out from the space, and a terrifying aura rippled in the surroundings. Then, a bolt of lightning wreaked havoc, and suddenly rushed towards Du Xiaofu. It's the person who tested me last night. Under the terrifying aura, Du Xiaofu's sharp spiritual soul power, he discovered that the aura of this person was definitely related to the mysterious person who tested him last night. He could conclude that the mysterious person who tested him last night was undoubtedly the yellow-robed man in front of him. However, at this moment, under this terrifying aura, Du Xiaofu felt powerless for the first time. He couldn't even summon the will to fight back. "You can't touch him." A gentle and delicate voice sounded out as a palm-sized jade disc appeared before Du Xiaofu. It was extremely simple and covered in talisman markings that were inscribed with various ancient and unfamiliar talisman markings, and it emitted hazy mist. As soon as this jade plate appeared, an ancient and shocking aura swept across the heavens and earth. It emitted a blinding light, and an aura that could destroy everything spread out. It made people tremble in fear. Walala, as the jade plate resisted, the yellow-robed elder's thunderous attack was directly destroyed. Chi La. The yellow-robed elder's expression changed. His eyes darkened. His figure once again pounced towards Du Xiaofu. It was as if he was determined to capture Du Xiaofu. A terrifying claw print attracted lightning. With the speed of lightning, it directly enveloped Du Xiaofu. Chi La La, under the claw print, the space seemed to be torn apart. Wherever the claw print passed, 5 pitch-black spatial marks appeared. This was the real tearing of space. Ka, the square below, which had been solidified by the talisman formation restriction, also cracked and exploded under the aftershock of the claw, revealing cracks on the ground. In the distance, a mountain peak was crushed. The yellow-robed old man's strength had reached such a terrifying level. "It's not your turn to behave atrociously," Purple Tianzuan shouted. Similarly, a claw print wrapped in purple light filled the sky. Purple runes soared into the sky and swept across the sky. It was like a purple thunderbolt colliding with the yellow-robed elder's claw print. Chi La La, as the 2 claw marks collided, the sky above the square was in chaos. Numerous pitch-black spatial cracks spread out. Rumble, in the surrounding mountains, many mountain peaks cracked and exploded, revealing ravines. Dang dang. The figures of Purple Sky Sovereign and the yellow-robed elder retreated at the same time. It seemed that the strength of the two was about the same. So strong, this is a true expert. Du Xiaofu was right in front of him. His eyes trembled under the mask, and his heart was in turmoil. Just the aftershock of the energy that swept out between the two could destroy everything. It could suppress mountains and rivers, and tear apart mountains. That kind of strength was beyond imagination. It was too strong. Boom! Venerable Qian Xing's figure stepped out. The pressure from his body swept out in all directions, and the energy of heaven and earth surged. "Let me see who you are." The mysterious handprint condensed. Venerable Qian Xing's arm shook, and there were many blurry afterimages. A vast amount of rune energy suddenly roared out. The runes flickered faintly, and a wave of energy swept out and blasted towards the yellow-robed elder. The yellow-robed elder's expression changed. In his deep gloomy eyes, there was a flash of lightning. It made people tremble when they looked at him. With a wave of his hand, a fist wrapped in lightning blasted out. Rumble. A terrifying aura erupted. It was as if the sky was about to be destroyed, revealing a large area of the void. When that terrifying aura erupted, everyone's heartbeat quickened. They felt a great pressure, and their minds and souls were about to explode. That terrifying aura was unbearable. Just looking at it and feeling the aftershock of the energy was unbearable. It was so terrifying. In the midst of the violent energy, the yellow-robed elder stared fiercely at Du Xiaofu. Finally, he gritted his teeth and waved his hand. He drew a line in the void in front of him, and a thunderous force exploded. It was as if the space had been torn apart, and a void passage appeared in the space. The surrounding lightning flashed, and it was extremely terrifying. Chi La. The yellow-robed elder's figure disappeared into the lightning void passage. "Where do you think you're going?" Amethyst Venerable, Yu Xianzi, and Venerable Qian Xing attacked almost at the same time. 3 terrifying attacks swept out, and finally slammed into the lightning void passage, creating a tsunami-like energy storm that shook the sky. Swoosh swoosh. At the same time, there was the sound of wind breaking. Two dazzling rays of light broke through the sky and appeared in the sky in a flash. Dong Zhiyan, Peng Hengyi, why didn't you two come a little later? You scared that guy away. Amethyst Venerable's voice was like thunder, and his expression was gloomy. In the end, the yellow-robed elder still ran away. The two rays of light in the sky turned into countless specks of light and collapsed. In the end, a burly and wild old man appeared. There was also an old man who looked to be in his 60s and was dressed as an alchemy talisman master. With the arrival of these two people, there was not much fluctuation in their aura. However, the invisible aura was exactly the same as Amethyst Venerable, Yu Xianzi, and Venerable Qian Xing. They were all super experts of the same level. It's the Hall Master, Kuang Zun. It's the Hall Master, Dan Zun. Looking at the burly old man and the old man dressed as an alchemy talisman master, Elder Cui Fu of Dubhe Hall and Elder Yin Xuanlang of Tianji Hall immediately bowed respectfully, and their eyes trembled with excitement. I didn't expect the Hall Master of 7-Star Hall to come. Those legendary super experts are still alive. Mad Venerable, Pill Venerable, Yu Xianzi, Amethyst Venerable, and Venerable Qian Xing. They are all supreme experts of the spirit domain. They are the real guardians of the spirit domain. They are terrifying existences that the 3 sects and 3 schools are afraid of. With the appearance of these legendary super experts, the surrounding atmosphere gradually turned from shock to excitement. They are still alive. At this moment, Du Xiaofu, who was on the back of the dragon-shaped puppet, was also shocked. Those super experts who existed together with his master, Weapon Venerable, were still alive in the world. That person ran away. We will deal with him later. In his lair, we found something very important. It is related to Ming Chen and Feng Lei. You'd better come and take a look. The old man dressed as an alchemy talisman master said to Amethyst Venerable, Yu Xianzi, and Venerable Qian Xing. He was the hall master of Tianji Hall. The name of Pill Venerable had been known in the central state for more than 1,000 years. It is related to your master. Come with us and take a look. Yu Xianzi turned back and said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu nodded and put away the dragon-shaped puppet. Then, he flew away with Yu Xianzi and the others. Those super powerhouses are still alive. The Hall Master of Yuheng Hall is actually a fake. Around the square, countless gazes were shocked. Everything that happened today was unbelievable. The elders and Ko Jixiong of Yuheng Hall were all stunned in midair. Some of them still could not come back to their senses. They did not know what had happened at all. At this moment, it was already dusk. A large cloud with a golden edge covered half of the sky. Dusk silently began to descend on the Tianheng mountain range. In the depths of Yuheng Hall, the mountain peaks were continuous and towered into the clouds. Clouds and mist lingered in the surroundings. Strange flowers and herbs, spirit beasts shuttled back and forth, and spirit birds chirped. In the secret chamber of the mountain peak, inside a huge cave, the stone walls were inlaid with runes. They were as smooth as jade and were fluctuating with energy. When Du Xiaofu arrived at the cave, there were already several old men waiting nervously at the entrance. They seemed to be people from Yuheng Hall. What shocked Du Xiaofu was that the auras of these old men all surpassed that of a ruler. Among them, one of the old men made Du Xiaofu feel that his aura was not much different from that of his master, Gu Qingyang. Inside the cave, 2 figures were sitting cross-legged. One of them had the appearance of the yellow-robed man. He looked to be in his 70s and had a head of smooth black hair. The hair at his temples was silver, and he wore a Confucian robe. He had an extraordinary temperament, but his face was as pale as ash, and no aura could be felt from his body. When he saw the other person, Du Xiaofu's face froze. That figure sat cross-legged and looked to be in his 50s. His long black hair draped over his shoulders, and a red robe covered his body. He had a wide forehead and a square face, but at this moment, his entire body seemed to be lifeless. Only a rune between his eyebrows was not destroyed. There seemed to be lightning flashing faintly, maintaining the last bit of vitality. Master! Du Xiaofu was shocked. That was the body of his master, the revered equipment master. Ming Chen is fine. His technique is special, and he used his own strength as the price to place a nirvana seal within this secret cave. It also protected Feng Lei's body, preventing that fella from approaching. Otherwise, they would have perished together. I have the Yuan spirit imprint left behind by Ming Chen, so I can break this nirvana seal. Pil Venerate entered the cave and looked at GMO Ming Chen, who was sitting cross-legged, and said to everyone, "Take a closer look at this fella." Everyone looked at him. Du Xiaofu also looked curiously. When he looked carefully, he saw 3 faint rings of light above GMO Ming Chen's head. They looked like divine flames. Nirvana divine flame. This fella is about to take the final step. Jian Zhuang, Jade Fairy, Purple Sky Sovereign, and Honorable Qian Xing's expressions changed. Their eyes were filled with shock. If my guess is correct, this fella has profited from his misfortune and will most likely be able to take the final step. Pil Venerate Peng Hong Sua nodded. He then looked at revered equipment master's body with a serious expression and said, "Feng Lei's problem is more serious. His Yuan spirit is missing, and he is relying on a strand of lightning essence to maintain his vitality." Chapter 843. Little guy, do you know where your master's primordial spirit is? Yu Xianzi asked Du Xiaofu as she looked at the body of the revered weapon with a solemn expression. Is this little guy Feng Lei's disciple? Alchemy Venerate and Mad Venerate looked at Du Xiaofu. Under their gazes, Du Xiaofu felt as though he had fallen into a black hole and his soul was trembling. It should be. This little guy has Xiahou Feng Lei's divine weapon. Fairy Yu nodded at Alchemy Venerate and Mad Venerate. Du Xiaofu looked at Fairy Yu. His intuition told him that Fairy Yu, the Hall Master of Heavenly Jade Hall, should be a trustworthy person. Du Xiaofu also felt that the palace masters in front of him were trustworthy. Looking at his master's body, Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and said to Fairy Yu, "Senior, my master's primordial spirit is in the purple gold heavenly palace." As his voice faded, Du Xiaofu untied the square box. Then, he briefly told Fairy Yu, Purple Tianzuan, and the others about how he had met his master's revered weapon and the soul of the murderous weapon, as well as how the Hall Master of Yuheng Hall had launched a sneak attack on his master's revered weapon. Boom! When the purple gold heavenly palace came out, a murderous aura surged and there were faint roars of dragons and tigers. Chi! Alchemy Venerate formed a hand seal and a strong spiritual energy wrapped around the purple gold heavenly palace, causing the entire cave to rumble. Dang! After a while, Alchemy Venerate's feet shook and he withdrew his hand seal. He looked at the purple gold heavenly palace in shock and said, "What a strong murderous aura. How did Feng Lei refine such a terrifying item? Peng, is Xiahou Feng Lei's primordial spirit inside?" Mad Venerate stared at Alchemy Venerate and asked. He was also shocked when he saw the purple gold heavenly palace. That guy's primordial spirit is indeed suppressing the murderous spirit inside. Alchemy Venerate nodded at Mad Venerate. He looked at the purple gold heavenly palace and was also shocked. He then said with doubt, "If I'm not wrong, that mysterious person should be the one who secretly dealt with GMO and disguised himself as GMO Xiahou Feng Lei's primordial spirit when Xiahou Feng Lei's primordial spirit, GMO used the Nirvana seal to protect Xiahou Feng Lei's body was sealed Nirvana seal to protect Xiahou Feng Lei's GMO Xiahou Feng Lei's primordial spirit escaped GMO used the Nirvana seal to protect Xiahou Feng Lei's seal used Nirvana. Nirvana realm sealed Xiahou Ji. As for that mysterious person, we can slowly investigate further. GMO is fine and in fact benefited from the disaster. The most important thing now is to find a way to help Xiahou Fenglei's primordial spirit return. I'm afraid his body will not be able to hold on for much longer, Venerable Qian Xing said with a worried expression. His primordial spirit is suppressing the murderous spirit. If it is affected, I'm afraid it will result in both him and the murderous spirit suffering heavy injuries, or even his primordial spirit being destroyed. Fairy Yu frowned and said with a serious expression. With our strength, suppressing that murderous spirit should not be a problem, Mad Venerate Dong Jian said. If we work together, it should not be a problem. However, even if we manage to suppress the murderous spirit, the purple gold heavenly palace would be damaged or even destroyed. We can only strengthen this little fella's new artifact spirit and allow it to devour the murderous spirit. Fairy Yu frowned and said to Mad Venerate, Purple Heavenly Venerate, Pill Venerate, and Venerable Qian Xing, most importantly, even if we manage to suppress the murderous spirit and allow his primordial spirit to escape, his primordial spirit would be greatly damaged after 1,000 years. When that happens, it would be difficult for him to improve his cultivation. This is indeed troublesome. Pill Venerate nodded. As an alchemy talisman master, he naturally knew that it was not a small matter for the primordial spirit to leave the body after 1,000 years. When the primordial spirit recovers, it would be difficult for him to improve his cultivation. What should we do then? Mad Venerate asked as he stared at Pill Venerate and Fairy Yu. It's not that we don't have a way, all of this seems to be the will of the heavens, it all depends on this little fella, Fairy Yu said as she looked at Du Xiaofu. Fuck me, Du Xiaofu was stunned. After listening to the words of the experts, he understood that it would not be easy for his master, Weapon Venerate, to recover his primordial spirit. Fuck this little fella. Mad Venerate, Purple Heavenly Venerate, and the others immediately looked at Du Xiaofu. The invisible aura caused Du Xiaofu to shiver. This little fella seems to be at the complete 6th-star realm. He seems to be cultivating both martial Dao and talisman Dao. He is at the peak of the complete martial king realm. Mad Venerate looked at Du Xiaofu and sized him up. Under his gaze, Du Xiaofu seemed to be unable to hide. Then, he said in surprise, his state of mind is not bad, it's rare to see such a thing. He is the champion of this year's assembly of the 7 palaces. Even a girl from your Dubhe palace called Lin Weiqi, a peak human king who has just reached the martial emperor stage, was easily defeated by him, Yu Xianzi said, looking at Kuang Zun. What? Mad Venerate was surprised when he heard this. He looked at Du Xiaofu curiously. A peak of the complete martial king realm could defeat a peak of the martial king realm. With Mad Venerate's cultivation, he naturally knew what this meant. According to the rules, this little fellow will represent the 7 Stars Hall and head to the Central Plains to participate in the grand event. If I'm not wrong, when that place opened 500 years ago, there was news of the existence of the Yin spiritual crystal. However, no one was fated to obtain it. Fairy Yu's eyes flickered and said, if we can find the Yin spiritual crystal, it will be enough for Xiahou Fenglei to recover safely. That's right. How could I forget about the Yin spiritual crystal? If we can obtain such a treasure, it will naturally be no problem. Hearing this, Pill Venerate was delighted. Then, he looked at Du Xiaofu and said, however, with this little fella's strength, even if he can obtain the Yin spiritual crystal in the conference, I'm afraid he won't be able to protect it. That's not necessarily true. I think this little fella has a chance. Moreover, there is still some time. If this little fella can truly step into the martial emperor realm, it will be more secure. Fairy Yu looked at Du Xiaofu and said seriously, little fella, listen carefully. When the time comes, you must obtain the Yin spiritual crystal. Otherwise, your master will not be able to recover. This little fella will do his best. Du Xiaofu nodded. He looked at Fairy Yu and said, however, this little fella still doesn't know what the grand event in Zhongzhou is. Du Xiaofu was a little stunned. He had heard several people mention the grand event in Zhongzhou, but he knew nothing about it. I'll tell you about that grand event a little later. You still have 2 months' time. According to the rules of the Assembly of the Seven Palaces, after you obtain the championship, you will be able to head to the Alpha Hall to obtain some benefits. I hope that these 2 months' time, in addition to the benefits you will obtain, will allow you to take another step forward. Fairy Yu told Du Xiaofu. Since this little fella has obtained the benefits, I'll also bring this little fella to the Alpha Hall. I hope that this little fella can improve further in these 2 months. When the time comes, besides obtaining the Yin spiritual crystal, he can also show off there and suppress the arrogance of the one valley, 2 churches, 3 sects and 3 factions. Kuang Zun sized up Du Xiaofu. His muscular body seemed wild and rough. I won't be at ease if you bring him there. I'll go to the Alpha Hall with you. Fairy Yu said to Kuang Zun. Fairy Yu, do you not believe in me? Kuang Zun suddenly stared at Fairy Yu and said. You think too much. Fairy Yu shook her head at Kuang Zun and said softly, after the mysterious man was exposed today, he was not in a hurry to escape. Instead, he insisted on capturing this little fella. Don't you think it's strange? It's indeed a little strange. If the mysterious man was Tu Yuheng Hall or Xiahou Fenglei, he wouldn't be in a hurry to escape after being exposed. Instead, he would take the risk to attack this little fella. Venerable Qian Xing recalled the previous battle and frowned slightly. He said, I feel that the mysterious man is not wholeheartedly focused on the divine weapon. Perhaps he is not after Tu Yuheng Hall or Xiahou Fenglei's divine weapon, but has other intentions. What his intentions are, we will find out in the future. Fairy Yu slightly raised her head and looked at everyone. This matter is definitely not simple. That mysterious man has been plotting for so long, I'm afraid he will not give up so easily. To ensure that nothing goes wrong, I will bring Xiahou Fenglei's body and this little fella along with Kuang Zun to the Alpha Hall. Even if the mysterious man still has other intentions, he would not expect me to leave Xiahou Fenglei's body in the Alpha Hall. Furthermore, Kuang Zun and I will be there to take care of him. As for Gmo Chen, Venerable Qian Xing will be in charge of guarding him. Your Arcade Hall is close to this place, so it will be convenient. Purple Sky Sovereign, you and Senior Pill will be in charge of investigating that fella's background. I believe that fella will eventually leave behind some traces. Good, it's decided then. That fella dared to provoke our 7-star hall, we will naturally not let him go so easily. Purple Sky Sovereign nodded. She had no objections to Fairy Yu's arrangement. After that, Venerable Qian Xing, Senior Pill, and Kuang Zun also nodded in agreement. When night fell, Du Xiaofu, Bailey Su, and Elder Zhu Xiu hurriedly bid farewell and followed Fairy Yu and Kuang Zun to the Alpha Hall. The 7-Hall Conference had ended, and the events that happened during the 7-Hall Conference had spread like a storm. Everywhere it passed, it was like a bomb had exploded, causing countless factions to be shocked and shocked. Earlier, it was mentioned twice that the 7-Hall Conference is held once every 50 years. That was due to Little Yu's mistake. The 7-Hall Conference and the Grand Event of the Central Region are both held once every 30 years. The 2 places in the previous paragraph have been amended, causing inconvenience. Chapter 844. The Hall Masters of the 7-Star Hall, who had not appeared for thousands of years, had all appeared in the 7-Star Hall Conference. The Hall Master of the Alioth Hall was a fake. The news of the Artifact Emperor Qiao Feng winning the Myriad Artifact Conference and defeating Lin Weiqi and Dongli Diao in the 7-Star Hall Conference and killing official Qin also spread. The name of the Artifact Emperor Qiao Feng spread throughout the spirit realm. The Alpha Hall of the 7-Star Hall was the head of the 7-Star Hall. It was located in the Alpha Mountain Range, opposite the Alpha Star of the Big Dipper. At night, the mountains around the Alpha Hall were covered by the faint moonlight. The mountains were covered in green pines and cypresses, and there were large buildings stretching out in the night. There were 7 tall mountains in total, and they were shaped like the Big Dipper. Every mountain peak was exceptionally lush and green, towering into the clouds. The 7 mountains were covered in clouds from the waist up, and the energy of heaven and earth was dense. Among the 7 mountain peaks, there was a deep canyon that was so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. It was boundless and deep. Whoosh whoosh, under the moonlight, 3 figures landed on the head of the 7 mountains. It was the Alpha Hall Master, Kuang Zun, the Alpha Hall Master, Yu Xianzi, and Du Xiaofu. Do you know why the 7-star hall is called the 7-star hall? On the mountain, Yu Xianzi asked Du Xiaofu gently. Her clear eyes were looking at Du Xiaofu with some consolation. Du Xiaofu shook his head and smiled bitterly at Yu Xianzi. Senior, I don't know. You are your master's disciple, so you can call me second martial uncle. I am the second in the 7-star hall. Yu Xianzi said to Du Xiaofu, the 7-star hall is called the 7-star hall because of this place. More than 1,000 years ago, your master and I found this place and built the 7-star hall together. Yu Xianzi paused and continued to say to Du Xiaofu, the 7 peaks here form a natural formation that is opposite to the Big Dipper. What is even more strange is that there are 7 places in the spirit realm that are opposite to the Big Dipper. That is where the 7-star hall is. These 7 places have extraordinarily rich heaven and earth energy. The place you are looking at now is the 7-star light pool. This natural formation can attract the light of the stars and form star energy. It can allow cultivators to purify their spiritual altar and cleanse their body. The benefits of absorbing the light of the stars are enormous. Back then, we made some arrangements to allow the 7-star light pool to absorb the light of the stars. However, the amount of light of the stars that can be absorbed is limited. It can only support one person's baptism every few decades. Therefore, only the winners of the 7 Palace Conference can enter the 7-star light pool to absorb the light of the stars. I see. Du Xiaofu was shocked when he heard this. It was unexpected that there were such benefits in the 7 Palace Conference. Little guy, you are called Xiaofeng. Mad revered Dong Zhiyan looked at Du Xiaofu and asked. He looked like he was in his 70s, but his temperament was wild and rough. It was really strange to look at him. Replying to Senior, I am just a pseudonym. Du Xiaofu is my real name. Because I have many enemies, I have no choice but to hide my identity. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. Little guy, you have guts, daring to enter Alioth Hall alone. You respect your elders and your master. You have guts. Mad Revered looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. In the future, call me First Martial Uncle. I am the leader of the 7-star hall. If you have any enemies in the future, you don't have to be afraid. Your martial uncles are here. If anyone dares to bully you, they will help you. You don't have to be afraid of the 3 sects, 3 groups, 1 valley, and 2 schools. However, if you are in the same generation, you have to deal with it yourself. Many thanks, First Martial Uncle. Du Xiaofu smiled, but then his heart sank. That clan was too strong. Not to mention the 7-star hall, even the ancient heaven sect was no match for them. Oh right, Xiaofu, you better break through to the Emperor realm in 2 months. Then, in addition to getting the Yin spirit crystals, you can also represent the 7-star hall and show them that the 7-star hall is not to be trifled with. Mad Revered told Du Xiaofu. I will do my best. Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly. He wasn't too sure about the grand event, but breaking through to the Emperor realm required an opportunity that could only be found by chance. It would be best if he could break through to the Emperor realm. Let's begin. Fairy Yu gestured to Mad Revered. Yes. Kuang Zun nodded and waved his hand. Talismans flew out, and light shot up into the sky from the 7 mountains. Rumble. The 7 peaks trembled and a rumbling sound seemed to come from underground. Night clouds surged high up in the sky. Dazzling runes gathered on the 7 peaks and soared into the sky as if they were parting the clouds. Whoosh! The night clouds dispersed and stars twinkled in the sky. The Big Dipper shone as if it was about to fall. Suddenly, 7 rays of light shot down from the Big Dipper. The 7 rays of light were like colorful energy tides, descending directly above the vast canyon in the middle of the 7 mountain peaks. Finally, it seemed to have turned into a colorful vortex that slowly rotated above the canyon. The dazzling starlight illuminated the canyon. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could feel that the starlight contained an extremely rich energy. Neng Na's rich energy wasn't violent, but it was extremely vigorous. More and more energy was still converging toward him. As the energy gathered, the energy in the area became more intense. In the sky, the surrounding starlight seemed to be attracted as well. Streaks of starlight fell from the sky and gathered in the vortex, causing the colorful vortex of starlight to spin faster and faster. The colorful vortex was like a river of stars, dazzling and dazzling. The energy became more and more vigorous. It was as if the energy in the world was being drawn and devoured. Crackle! Suddenly, the vortex of starlight exploded, and dazzling rays of light shot out. In the end, all of them sprinkled down into the boundless and deep gorge like a rain of light. At the same time, the vast canyon suddenly began to flicker. It was as if a torch had been lit in the darkness, and it began to emit light. Then, the light became brighter and brighter. In the end, it turned into a dazzling starlight that illuminated the bottomless valley. It was as if the deep river of stars had fallen from the sky. Everything was like a dream, making people exclaim in amazement. The originally vast and boundless canyon was now filled with dreamy starlight, and vigorous energy rippled through the air. It made one feel relaxed and refreshed, and one's spirit was clear. Xiaofu, kid, quickly enter the 7-star luminous pool. Kuang Zun said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu nodded. This was an opportunity that couldn't be missed. After nodding, Xian Qi gushed out from under his feet. He stamped his feet slightly and his figure turned into a ray of light that flew straight into the 7-star luminous pool. His body swooped down and entered the valley. Du Xiaofu immediately felt that he was wrapped in a dazzling starlight. The dazzling starlight surged like a tide. It was clearly invisible, but at this moment, it felt as if it had entered a lake. There was a clear feeling of waves, accompanied by a vigorous and rich energy fluctuation. What a mystical place! Du Xiaofu exclaimed in his heart. This place was mystical and rich in energy. As soon as he entered, he felt a vigorous energy that could purify his spiritual altar and cleanse his body. Du Xiaofu's figure entered the 7-star luminous pool and was wrapped in starlight. The deeper he went, the more he felt an enormous pressure blocking him. But obviously, the deeper he went, the denser the accumulated starlight energy was, and the stronger the effect was. Du Xiaofu rushed into the 7-star luminous pool, and after a brief observation, he went deeper. Inside the starlight energy, Du Xiaofu felt his heartbeat quicken. The starlight energy in Du Xiaofu's body, which had come from Qi Yixi's blood essence, was now invisibly attracted by the starlight energy in the 7-star luminous pool. A moment later, as Du Xiaofu ventured deeper, he could already feel the star energy within his body fluctuating. Starlight radiated from within his body. This kid is very strange. On the mountain peak, watching Du Xiaofu's figure enter the 7-star luminous pool, Kuang Zun's eyes emitted a dazzling light, like shining stars in the starry sky. He has a lot of secrets. Don't be fooled by his honest appearance, he's very cunning. Yu Xianzi's eyes flickered as she said, but his nature is good. That guy didn't choose the wrong person. Honest people aren't suitable for cultivation at all. I don't like honest fools the most. I like this kid. Kuang Zun laughed and said, I just don't know if this kid can break through to the Emperor realm in 2 months. If he can, our 7-star hall will be able to show the 1 valley, 2 religions, and 3 sects and 3 schools how powerful we are. The starlight energy is no small matter. It can purify one's spiritual altar and cleanse one's body. He's already at the peak of the Martial King realm and the peak of the 6-star Talisman Master realm. He's only 1 step away from breaking through. With his talent, he has at least a 60% chance of breaking through to the Emperor realm. Yu Xianzi said in a low voice, breaking through to the Emperor realm will increase the chances of obtaining Yin spirit crystals. If he misses this chance, he'll have to wait another 30 years. Kid, don't let me down. Break through to the Emperor realm. When the time comes, you'll bring glory to the 7-star hall. Kuang Zun looked at the 7-star luminous pool and murmured. Today's update ends. Chapter 845. Deep inside the starlight, the pressure was getting stronger. Du Xiaofu couldn't go any further. His body was covered by the 5-colored starlight. Vigorous energy rippled around him. Du Xiaofu's body was filled with starlight. It shone with the starlight around him, creating a marvelous scene. It seems like there's a connection. Du Xiaofu could feel the star power Upanishad in his body moving. It was connected to the starlight inside the 7-star luminous pond. Purify the spiritual platform. Cleanse the body. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. Starlight entered his nose. This was a precious land. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged inside the 5-colored starlight. He floated in the air and made a hand seal. He used the power of the star power Upanishad to connect with the starlight around him. Then, he slowly closed his eyes. The starlight fluctuated. After a while, it seemed to connect with Du Xiaofu. It smoothly flooded into Du Xiaofu's body. At this moment, the star power Upanishad in Du Xiaofu's body seemed to contain a bottomless devouring power. It expanded from his body and continuously sucked in the starlight inside the 7-star luminous pond. Swoosh, following this devouring power, the starlight inside the 7-star luminous pond spun, creating a whirlpool. Vigorous energy unceasingly flooded Du Xiaofu's body. It was like a 5-colored ribbon entering Du Xiaofu's body. The starlight energy entered Du Xiaofu's body. As soon as it touched Du Xiaofu's body, it fused with the starlight energy inside Du Xiaofu's body. That vigorous energy made Du Xiaofu's body shiver. Vaguely, they could see wisps of smoke emitting from Du Xiaofu's body. That smoke was a kind of impurity that was hard to detect. It had fused with Du Xiaofu's marrow. Even if Du Xiaofu's thunder and lightning power and the gold-winged great rock had cleansed his marrow, they couldn't expel it completely. This kind of impurity couldn't be cleansed without gentle energy. Du Xiaofu's thunder and lightning power and the gold-winged great rock's cultivation technique were extremely domineering. They were too masculine. At this moment, after being cleansed by the starlight, they could be cleansed. The 5-colored starlight Upanishad Great Rock Great Rock Great Rock. Du Xiaofu's star power. The star power Upanishads in his body. The 5-colored starlight energy followed the star power into Du Xiaofu's body and was absorbed by his meridians, bones, cells, internal organs, and muscles. At the same time, the impurities that were hard to detect were cleansed. Du Xiaofu could sense that there was a mysterious energy in the 7-star luminous pool. It could give birth to a new kind of energy in his body. Du Xiaofu's body was originally too masculine. Now, under the starlight energy, there was no doubt that it had the effect of balancing yin and yang. It made everything in Du Xiaofu's body sublimate. It gained a kind of flexibility, and his body was climbing to a new level. This feeling made Du Xiaofu overflow with joy. The benefits were self-evident and enormous. There were still 2 months left. Du Xiaofu also hoped that the energy of the spiritual altar essence in the starlight could give him an opportunity to break through to the Emperor realm. At that time, he could go to the revered weapon master's grand event to obtain the Yin spirit crystal. It would also improve his strength. Strength was the most important thing. It was also what Du Xiaofu yearned for the most at the moment. The starlight whistled and poured into Du Xiaofu's body. If someone from Dubhe Hall saw this, they would definitely be dumbfounded. No one had ever been like Du Xiaofu in the 7-star luminous pool. Others were cleansing their impurities in the 7-star luminous pool, but Du Xiaofu was purely absorbing the energy in the 7-star luminous pool. At this rate, although he needed a lot of energy to break through to the martial emperor realm, it wouldn't be too difficult for Du Xiaofu to gather the energy needed to break through to the martial emperor realm at the speed he was absorbing the starlight energy. The starlight energy in the 7-star luminous pool could be absorbed by Du Xiaofu without restraint. It could also be used to cleanse his impurities. Of course, energy was one thing. If he wanted to break through to the martial emperor realm, it was more important to have an opportunity. Only by seizing that opportunity could he successfully break through. Just like that, Du Xiaofu was wrapped in the starlight. The starlight vortex around him spun like a divine light, continuously connecting with Du Xiaofu. At this moment, Du Xiaofu seemed to have transformed into a star, absorbing all the surrounding starlight energy into his body. In the quiet 7-star luminous pool, Du Xiaofu seemed to have lost track of time as he was immersed in it. Sitting cross-legged like a star, Du Xiaofu's aura was unknowingly rising at this moment. It was constantly growing. Although the growth of the aura was not fast, it continued to grow endlessly. More importantly, the aura was climbing towards the gap between the martial king realm and the martial emperor realm. The growth of the aura wasn't fast, but it wasn't slow either. It wouldn't take long for him to cross the martial king realm and finally reach the martial emperor realm. Martial emperor was a synonym for a true expert in the entire Central Plains. It was the divide between a true expert and an ordinary expert. It was a gap that countless martial king realm experts couldn't cross in their lifetime. If Du Xiaofu could break through, he would be a martial emperor under the age of 20. If this news were to spread, it would be enough to shock the entire Central Plains. More importantly, Du Xiaofu had only been cultivating for a few years. He hadn't become a martial emperor before the age of 20, but he had already killed one. Time passed slowly like this. In the spirit realm, the news that the 7-star Hall Master had appeared and that the Hall Master of Alioth Hall was fake had spread. The entire spirit realm was in an uproar. Even the countless forces in the Central Plains were alarmed. The name of Artifact Emperor Qiao Feng also resounded throughout the Central Plains. There were rumors that the rise of Artifact Emperor Qiao Feng in this grand event in the Central Plains would put great pressure on the disciples of the One Valley, 2 religions, and the 3 sects and 3 schools. In the Ancient Heaven sect, in the quiet study of the continuous mountains, Sima Taxing pondered for a moment. Then his glass-like eyes rippled a little. He said, "The terrifying existences of the 7-star Hall are indeed still in the world. It's been more than 1,000 years. Those terrifying existences have really lived for a long time." Protector Hao's eyes were also quite shocked. Sima Taxing smiled and said, "1,000 years is actually nothing. The path of cultivation is to defy the heavens and change one's fate. Those extraordinary people are fighting with the heavens every time they enter a new level. The ancestors of our Ancient Heaven sect who don't care about the world and have seen through everything should have lived for more than 1,000 years. In the forbidden area in the back of the mountain, there may be existences that I don't know about. Maybe it won't be long before I enter that place to cultivate. The sect master is still young. The Ancient Heaven sect still needs the sect master." Protector Hao smiled. As long as the people in the forbidden area in the back of the mountain still exist, the Ancient Heaven sect will never have a real big event. That is the most important foundation of the Ancient Heaven sect. Compared with Tao Enlightenment and those other worldly people in this world, the position of the sect master of the Ancient Heaven sect is really not worth mentioning. Sima Taxing's eyes moved and he frowned slightly. He said, "However, someone dares to make a move against the 7-star Hall. This matter is unusual. In these years, there has been a faint existence of a huge force, but it is difficult to detect. Could it be that that person is also from that force? Is the sect master worried about the fake Yuheng Hall master?" Protector Hao frowned and his expression became serious. "The last time Muhan came back, he mentioned to me that Muhan's grandmother wanted me to inquire about it. They said that there is a mysterious force in this world that is extremely huge. It seems that this matter is most likely true. Sima Taxing said. I will send people to investigate thoroughly. If that force exists, there will always be clues left behind. Protector Hao said. Sima Taxing nodded and then shook his long sleeves slightly. He stood up with his hands behind his back and said softly, it's about to be that grand event. In the blink of an eye, another 30 years have passed. Time really flies. 30 years ago, I didn't even know Muhan's mother. 30 years ago, the sect master's name shook the world. He was the emperor of all emperors and was bestowed the title of Heaven's Pride. How disdainful that was. Protector Hao smiled. Thinking back to 30 years ago, he was still excited. 30 years ago, that was luck. At that time, there were a few people who were injured. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for me to win. Those people were not under me at that time. I was just lucky. Sima Taxing shook his head and smiled bitterly. 30 years ago, he knew very well that there were a few people whose strength was definitely not under him. It was just that his luck was better. However, at that time, he also had absolute strength. That place was definitely not a place that could be walked out of by luck. The cruelty inside could only be supported by absolute strength. That place is definitely not something that can be walked out of by luck. Protector Hao smiled and then said, this time, our ancient sky sect also has hope. The eldest miss lived up to everyone's expectations and easily broke through to the martial emperor realm. Together with the two monstrous existences that we have been hiding, as well as Yin Machin and the others, this time, our ancient sky sect will definitely be able to suppress everyone like 30 years ago. Muhan broke through to the martial emperor realm and the existence of those two guys. They do indeed have the power to fight. There shouldn't be too many people who can shake the three of them. However, how could the other forces not be prepared? It is said that this time, the One Valley, the two sects, and the other 3 sects and 2 sects have also surged out of the top experts. Sima Taxing Xing's voice paused slightly and then said softly, even in the spirit domain, the weapon Emperor Qiao Feng has appeared this time. He is young, and it is said that he is a martial artist and talisman cultivator. Before becoming an emperor, he has already killed an emperor. Even the mysterious Emperor Chu Jiang of the martial emperor realm was killed by him. Once such a young man breaks through to the martial emperor realm with the support of the 7-star hall, he will definitely be a terrible dark horse. Chapter 846. Killing an emperor before becoming one. Rumor has it that the artifact Emperor Qiao Feng is domineering and fierce. Sect Master, why do I feel that guy is somewhat familiar? Protector Hao frowned slightly. As the person in charge of the Ancient Sky Sect, he naturally knew about the news when it was sent back to the Ancient Sky Sect. From the description of the news sent back from the spirit domain, the temperament of the artifact Emperor Qiao Feng gave him an inexplicable sense of familiarity. You're talking about Du Xiaofu, aren't you? It's indeed somewhat similar. Sima Taxing smiled bitterly. If Du Xiaofu was there, I'm afraid there would be a wonderful battle when he meets the artifact Emperor Qiao Feng. Elder Qing Yang returned to the sect and brought news that something has happened in the Stone City. Before Protector Hao finished speaking, Sima Taxing looked at Protector Hao and said, this matter can't be leaked out. It absolutely can't be leaked out. Understood, I'll go and do other things. I'll investigate the mysterious person in Yuheng Hall. Protector Hao understood and nodded. Then he seemed to think of something and said, by the way, Sect Master, the Saint of the Great Luan Sect will be engaged in 2 days. What should we prepare? The Saint of the Great Luan Sect? It's Dongli Qi Huang, right? Sima Taxing's glazed eyes moved slightly. It said that this boy is unfathomable. I don't know how far he has reincarnated. The Great Luan Sect's secret reincarnation method can't be underestimated. The grand event is about to begin. It's a little puzzling that the Great Luan sect would do this at this time. It's said that Dongli Qi Huang is engaged to a female disciple of the Divine Light Court called Qing Xingnan. Although this girl's talent is not weak in the Divine Light Court, it's not particularly outstanding. But not long ago, according to the news we received, this girl has obtained the inheritance left behind by the Light Ancestor. Protector Hao said to Sima Taxing, coincidentally, this Qing Xingnan is also the princess of the Stone Dragon Empire. The Stone Dragon Empire is not far from Stone City, right? Sima Taxing's eyes moved. He had some impression of the Stone Dragon Empire. That's right. However, Stone City and Dark Forest are now desolate countries. There should be some estrangement between them and the Stone Dragon Empire. Du Xiaofu used to be the brave god king of the Stone Dragon Empire. He's quite close to Qing Xingnan, said Enforcer Hao. From the looks of it, the Stone Dragon Empire has abandoned that brat for Dongli Qi Huang. That brat's death has brought the Stone Dragon Empire closer to the Great Luan sect. In addition, with Qing Xingnan's status in the Divine Radiance Court, he has found himself a backer. Sima Taxing smiled and did not take it seriously. Then he said, it seems that the relationship between the Great Luan sect and the Divine Light Court is much closer. I'm afraid that the so-called backer of the Stone Dragon Empire is also unreliable. Even the Divine Light Court is looking for a backer. The Great Will sect and the Immeasurable sect have been at odds all these years. Protector Hao smiled. If you rely on a backer, the backer will collapse. If you rely on someone, they will run away. Only by relying on oneself can you truly rely on yourself. Sima Taxing flicked his sleeves and a fierce glint flashed across his glass-like eyes. He said to Protector Hao, pay attention to the Stone Dragon Empire. Something has happened in Stone City. Martial Uncle Qing Yang brought back news that the Grass of Immortality and Dark Insight Grass have appeared in Stone City. If the Stone Dragon Empire wants to rely on the Great Luan sect and the Divine Light Court to encroach on it, then destroy the Stone Dragon Empire with a thunderous force. I'd like to see what the Divine Light Court and the Great Luan sect will do to my Ancient Heaven sect. I don't like the Stone Dragon Empire. Since when did a small Stone Dragon Empire have the right to abandon my junior brother? As for the engagement of Dongli Qi Huang from the Great Luan sect, since the invitation hasn't arrived, my Ancient Heaven sect doesn't need to send any gifts. Just pretend that we don't know. Sima Taxing's eyes flashed and he continued to say to Protector Hao, that brat has fallen for some time. Since the Stone Dragon Empire is going to get engaged, then let's make it even more lively. On that day, the Ancient Heaven sect will go to Stone City and hold a ceremony. The more lively, the better. I understand. Everything will be arranged properly. Protector Hao nodded in understanding. After he finished speaking, he bowed and left. After Protector Hao left, Sima Taxing stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His glass-like eyes flickered as he murmured, Weapon Emperor Qiao Feng, proficient in refining weapons and integrating beast energy. He also cultivates in both talisman and martial arts. He's related to the Weapon Sovereign and is fierce and domineering. Brat, could it be you? Are you really still alive, Stone Dragon Empire? After the Tianhu Empire and the other two empires were defeated, the Stone Dragon Empire had been recuperating. With the deterrence of the Great Luan sect and the Divine Light Court, no one in the vicinity dared to provoke the Stone Dragon Empire. Moreover, the Stone Dragon Empire was separated from the Central Plains by millions of mountains. The strongest empires in the vicinity were the Tianhu Empire and a few other empires. Now that the Tianhu Empire and the other two empires had been defeated, there were no other forces in the area that could contend with the Stone Dragon Empire. However, everyone knew that the relationship between the Stone Dragon Empire and the desolate country was extremely mysterious. The Stone Dragon Empire could be said to be the dominant force in the vicinity while the desolate country's younger generation was formidable. The Great Luan sect and the Divine Light Court were behind the Stone Dragon Empire while the desolate country had the Ancient Heaven sect behind it. It was rumored that the desolate country had traces of the profound talisman sect behind it. In addition, many forces in the Central Plains were related to the former Tianwu Academy. Now that almost all the remaining disciples of the Tianwu Academy had fallen to the desolate country, they were definitely a huge force that couldn't be ignored. In addition, the desolate country was now filled with experts and countless kings. The Medicine Emperor was also present. As the saying goes, two tigers cannot live on one mountain. Now that the two countries were together and had a mysterious relationship, no one knew when the balance would be broken. The desolate country, the main capital of the Stone City. Following the death of an emperor, the ancient Heaven sect was intimidated. Although the news of the treasures in the Stone City spread, no one dared to covet the treasures in the Stone City. This allowed the desolate country to be at peace for quite some time. However, the peace in the Stone Dragon Empire and the desolate country had been broken recently. The news that the first princess of the Stone Dragon Empire, Qing Xingnan, was going to be engaged to the saint of the Great Luan sect, Dongli Qihuang, caused the entire capital of the Stone Dragon Empire to be in an uproar. When the news spread, it shook the entire empire. This news naturally caused the entire Stone Dragon Empire to rejoice. Many citizens who didn't know about the news naturally thought that the first princess, Qing Xingnan, and the saint of the Great Luan sect, Dongli Qihuang, were a match made in heaven. However, some people who knew about the situation were gloomy and silent. In particular, some of the kings in the capital of the Dragon Empire were gloomy and missed the brave young man from the past. There was also a huge commotion in the desolate country. The entire country was paying respects to the founding Rock Emperor. The ancient Heaven sect also participated. The founding emperor of the desolate country, the founding Rock Emperor, Du Xiaofu, was the junior brother of the ancient Heaven sect's master, Sima Taxing. This news spread completely. Many people now knew that the founding Rock Emperor of the desolate country actually had such a high status in the ancient Heaven sect. At night, the stars twinkled and the sky was blue and serene. The Golden Dragon Palace of the Stone Dragon Empire's Imperial Palace was grand and magnificent. The eaves were blue and the glazed tiles on the roof sparkled under the reflection of the stars and the moon. The bright moon cascaded down and streaked across the exquisite eaves, sprinkling a hazy yellow light all around. From afar, the magnificent Golden Dragon Palace towered in the night sky like a golden palace. It appeared mysterious and quiet. Father. The Imperial Palace was filled with dragon qi. A woman gently walked into the majestic palace. Her orange clothes set off her long and slender legs. Her elegant temperament was somewhat cold. The woman was Qing Xingnan. She was no longer the same as before. At this moment, her temperament had changed, making people tremble just by looking at her. Xingnan, tomorrow is the day of your engagement. I hope you found the right person. You've already grown up. I'm deeply gratified. Emperor Qing looked at Qing Xingnan. His rather fat body made his belly look small, but he had an absolute majesty that made people feel intimidated. Father, thank you for raising me. Qing Xingnan bowed slightly, thanking her father for raising her. Silly child, when you were born, I named you Xingnan because I wanted you to be stronger than men. These years, you've indeed done it. Even now, you're still so extraordinary. You've done so much for the family. Emperor Qing helped his beloved daughter up. His beloved daughter in front of him was his pride and the pride of the entire Stone Dragon Empire. I'll definitely bring the Qing family and the Stone Dragon Empire to new heights in the future. I'll protect the entire family. Qing Xingnan's pearly white teeth parted slightly. There were some complicated emotions in her eyes. I believe you'll be able to do it. Emperor Qing nodded with gratification. He said to Qing Xingnan, prepare early. Tomorrow is your engagement. It's one of the most important days of your life. I hope I can see my most beautiful daughter tomorrow. Well, father, you should rest early too. Qing Xingnan nodded. She bowed slightly and turned to leave. By the way, Xingnan, have you heard about him? Suddenly, Emperor Qing raised his head and looked at Qing Xingnan, who had just turned around, and said, I only recently learned that his position in the ancient heavens sect is extraordinary. Unfortunately, Emperor Qing sighed. He paused for a moment and said regretfully, it would be great if he were still alive. But now, with the barren country, if he were still alive. I've also learned about his position in the ancient heavens sect after my last visit to the divine court. He's envied by the heavens and met with great misfortune. Father, don't think too much about it. Qing Xingnan's beautiful figure paused for a moment. Then, she walked away with light steps. At night, stars shrouded the palace. In the palace pavilion, Qing Xingnan looked at the bright moon in the sky and stood still for a long time. Chapter 847. Some things have passed and can only be hidden in your heart. Just like some memories, you can only reminisce about them occasionally or forget them silently. In this world, there will always be some people who will gradually drift apart. There will always be some words that can never be said. Looking at the moon, Qing Xingnan frowned slightly. Under the night sky, her sparkling eyes became a little moist. She brushed her sleeves and wiped the tears off her cheeks. She muttered softly, I said that as long as there is a chance, I will help you take revenge. Consider it the last thing I can do for you. Who is it? Suddenly, Qing Xingnan turned around. Her sparkling eyes were filled with coldness and the aura around her spread out. Elder sister, it's me. A beautiful figure walked over from the corridor far away from the pavilion. She was delicate and beautiful. Under her slender eyelashes, her big eyes sparkled like black gemstones under the night sky. She was the second princess of the Stone Dragon Empire, Qing Yan. When she was studying in Tianwu Academy, her round and cute figure was extremely attractive now. Her short braids had now become long hair. They were black and shiny and hung down to her slender waist. After all these years, she had grown into a slender and elegant woman. She was extremely attractive. The daughters of the royal family had already grown up. Second sister, why are you here? Looking at the girl in front of her, the coldness in Qing Xingnan's eyes disappeared. Her eyes were filled with a smile. A slight breeze blew over and her hair fluttered gently behind her head. It was breathtaking. Elder sister, you are becoming more and more beautiful. Qing Yan raised her eyelashes and looked at her elder sister with clear eyes. She felt that her elder sister's aura was different from before. She was so noble that people couldn't get close to her. You little girl, you are becoming more and more beautiful in these years. Qing Xingnan smiled. The second sister in front of her was indeed becoming more and more beautiful. She was as beautiful as Han Ran. Elder sister, you are getting engaged tomorrow. That person is the saint of the Great Will sect. Now, all the women in Zhong province are probably envious of you. Qing Yan looked at her elder sister and said. Upon hearing this, Qing Xingnan raised her eyebrows slightly, her beautiful eyes slightly tilted, and then she smiled slightly, revealing her shallow dimples. She smiled sweetly and said softly, is that so? Looking at her elder sister, Qing Yan looked at her quietly and said, Elder sister, do you know? Ever since I was young, I've always felt that you were different. How is it different? Qing Xingnan looked at Qing Yan and asked with a curious smile. You've always been a lily of the valley in my heart, Qing Yan said softly. Ling Lan, Qing Xingnan Hua Guang's eyes trembled slightly. She knew about the lily of the valley. It was a noble flower that represented pride and loneliness, but it also meant that one was helpless. You are a lily of the valley in full bloom. Qing Yan said with a smile. Qing Xingnan smiled bitterly and looked at Qing Yan. She raised her hand and stroked her second sister's black hair. She pursed her lips slightly, as if there was a trace of sadness that could not be revealed. Then, she said softly, I am still me. I am still the old me. I will always be your elder sister. Upon hearing this, Qing Yan became serious and said, "Elder sister, do you really love the saint and Dongli Qi Huang?" Qing Xingnan was slightly taken aback. Her cheeks moved slightly and her eyes trembled slightly. However, there was a kind of power that could take one's heart and soul away. It made people look very ethereal and very far away. After a while, Qing Xingnan said, "He's not bad. He's not bad to me and the Qing family. I hope I didn't misjudge him." Upon hearing this, Qing Yan's clear eyes were filled with emotions. She looked at Qing Xingnan quietly and continued to ask, "Elder sister, if Senior Du is still alive and he appears in front of you tomorrow, would you choose Dongli Qi Huang or Senior Du?" Upon hearing Qing Yan's words, Qing Xingnan's delicate body trembled. That was from the bottom of her heart. Then, in her gentle demeanor, there was a subtle complexity that was difficult to detect. Qing Xingnan then smiled slightly. Her bright eyes were blurred and covered with an elegant shadow. She replied to Qing Yan, "Some things can only be accepted after they have happened. Some paths can't be turned back once you have chosen them. I heard people say that some people, once you meet them, you will be in love with them for 10,000 years. Some people are moved, but once you start, it's hard to take back the spilled water." Qing Yan looked at Qing Xingnan and asked, "Elder sister, have you ever been moved by Senior Du? When it's time to let go, let go. Some pain can be tolerated and it will pass. Some love can be tolerated and stopped." Qing Xingnan looked at Qing Yan and sighed lightly. She said, "Some things should be picked up and some things should be given up. Let the end be the end, and the beginning be the beginning." As soon as she finished speaking, Qing Xingnan turned around. The corners of her eyes were moist. With a light tap of her feet, her lithe figure immediately drew a seductive arc in the air. Then, she left the pavilion and disappeared. Her voice drifted over from afar. "Second sister, the most important thing is not where you are, but the direction you are facing. Big sister will take this direction. You and third brother should stay in your positions. The world is unpredictable and life is impermanent. Many things can only be understood after experiencing them. We all need to grow up and bid farewell to our immaturity. Maybe in the future, you will understand what I said. Rest early. Remember, I will always be your elder sister." The voice slowly disappeared, leaving Qing Yan standing quietly under the moonlight. After a long time, she murmured, "The royal family is a trap. Being in the royal family is also a kind of misfortune. I only regret that there are some things that I didn't do when I had the chance. Those who can be together, please cherish them. Some people want to be together, but can't." Night, Spirit Realm, Alpha Hall. In the mountain range, the stars were bright and the moon was dim. The vast starlight fell from the sky like a waterfall and landed in the 7-star light pool. It illuminated the mountain range and was mysterious and unpredictable. Inside the 7-star light pool, inside the colorful whirlpool of starlight, there was a silent energy fluctuation. There was only one figure sitting cross-legged. It was Du Xiaofu, who was being baptized by the starlight. At this time, Du Xiaofu had entered that strange state. Like an old monk sitting in meditation, his body did not move at all. He was like a boulder in the whirlpool of starlight, constantly absorbing the starlight energy to cleanse his body and purify his spirit. At this time, Du Xiaofu's skin was crystal clear like jade. The starlight seeped into every inch of his body. Even Du Xiaofu's face was covered by the starlight, making him look like a crystal. It was as if all the impurities in his body had been cleansed. Calculating the time, Du Xiaofu had been in the 7-star luminous pool for a total of 45 days. In these 45 days, Du Xiaofu had been absorbing the rich starlight energy to cleanse his body. The aura of his physical body had become much stronger. The starlight energy flowed through the cells in his body in his meridians, cleansing all impurities. Inside Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace, starlight shone and purified his spiritual altar. His entire being was immersed in a miraculous state of being reborn. Therefore, he did not appear to be bored at all. Instead, he was intoxicated. At this time, after 45 days, the aura that spread out of Du Xiaofu's body was more than 2 or 3 times stronger than before Du Xiaofu's aura. That aura was very terrifying. It was like a suppressed volcano that would erupt at any time. Perhaps, such a terrifying aura would erupt tomorrow. Qi! Qi! At this moment, Du Xiaofu was intoxicated and did not know that little star, who was in his arms, had also entered the whirlpool. At this time, little Xingxing's body was flickering with starlight runes. He was devouring the starlight energy. His entire body was connected to the starlight, and his aura was also rising. If the current Du Xiaofu could feel the aura on little Xingxing's body, he would be dumbfounded. Because the aura on little Xingxing's body was definitely not inferior to his, it's not normal. It's too abnormal. On the mountain peak, under the beautiful starlight, Huang Zun looked at the movements around the 7-star light pool with a strange expression. He softly said, "This kind of phenomenon has never happened before. Is that kid cleansing his body or is he devouring the starlight energy?" "His aura has been rising smoothly," Jade Fairy said softly. "On the mountain peak," Fairy Yu said softly. Under the illumination of the stars, she was like an immortal, extraordinary and refined. The next day, the entire Stone Dragon Empire was celebrating the engagement between Qing Xingnan and the Great Will sect. Such a grand occasion filled the imperial capital, Dragon City, with a sea of people. The hustle and bustle of the event resounded through the clouds. Inside and outside the imperial capital Dragon City, there was a joyous atmosphere. Countless imperial guards stood orderly. They were in high spirits. Roar! Early in the morning, demonic beasts roared in the imperial capital. Countless ferocious demonic beast mounts flew across the sky. The aura of countless experts descended on Dragon City. Roar! 4 three-headed golden lions roared as they pulled the phoenix carriage. The thunderous sound echoed throughout the imperial capital. A terrifying aura swept across the sky. The entire sky trembled for no reason. An invisible pressure was faintly discernible. It made even martial kings tremble in fear. That's the saint of the Great Will sect. Looking at the phoenix carriage in the sky, hundreds of millions of people in the imperial capital were shocked. Countless girls screamed. In the imperial palace, the old lord, Qing Fanshi, personally welcomed the saint while many nobles lined up on both sides. However, those with keen eyes would notice that the 3 most respected nobles, North Vanquishing King, South Vanquishing King, and East Vanquishing King, were not present today. Only the other nobles were present. Today's update is complete. Chapter 848. Inside the palace, first Princess Qing Xingnan walked out with second Princess Qing Yan and a few outstanding female disciples of the Divine Light Court. She wore a long dress today and her black hair was tied up in a princess bun with tassels. She walked over gracefully as the tassels swayed in the wind. It was a woman. Her tall and slender figure was less hot today, but more dignified, noble, quiet, and elegant. Her face was delicate and beautiful, so refined. She was like a lotus bud that had just emerged from the water, untainted by even a speck of dust. Dongli Qihuang's hair fluttered behind his head as he looked at the woman walking over. He was also in a daze. This was an engagement ceremony held in the Stone Dragon Empire to show respect to the Stone Dragon Empire. This was only an engagement ceremony, so the Great Luan sect didn't invite the other major forces to attend. But with the Great Luan sect's status and identity, it was enough to show respect to the Stone Dragon Empire. There were super strong cultivators from the Great Luan sect who appeared at the engagement ceremony. It was rumored that they were the elders of the Great Luan sect with high cultivation. Today, countless strong cultivators from the Great Luan sect came to the imperial capital, Dragon City. Stone City was a different scene in the desolate country today. It was the complete opposite of the Stone Dragon Empire's jubilant and joyful atmosphere. The desolate country's stone city was black and white. Everyone's eyes were dim and their hearts were heavy. Some old people even shed tears. Today, the desolate country held a memorial ceremony for the founding rock emperor. The strong cultivators of the ancient heaven sect and many other forces came to Stone City. Countless people poured into Stone City as the disciples of the World Alliance gathered there. Stone City was no longer the same as before. The energy of heaven and earth was dense. Everywhere was lush and full of spiritual chi. The people who lived in Stone City could feel great benefits. They could stay away from all evil and could be full of vitality. Their cultivation had increased greatly. The great Peng Emperor's tomb was a place where multicolored light soared into the sky from time to time. The dense multicolored light enveloped the place, appearing extremely mystical. The people of the desolate country called it a miracle. After the Rock Emperor died, he turned into a treasure to protect Stone City. In front of the tomb, an enormous stone platform was erected. Offerings were piled up, and there were ancient heaven sect experts offering sacrifices, chanting sacrificial texts. The barren nation held a national ceremony. During this period of time, after becoming citizens of the barren nation, everyone received benefits. Everyone was grateful for the protection of the Rock Emperor. Among the countless people in Stone City, there were old people who shed tears as they missed the Rock Emperor. In the Stone Dragon Empire, today was the day of the first princess engagement. But only in Enlightenment City, there were no lanterns or decorations anywhere. Instead, it was black and white and solemn. Even the soldiers of Enlightenment City, who knew that today was the day of the first princess engagement, did not stop the people of Enlightenment City. Instead, some people secretly joined in the ceremony. In honor of the Rock Emperor. In Enlightenment City, countless civilians walked out spontaneously, and there were elderly abbot with high status who held a memorial service. They had received news that today was the day of the barren nation's grand ceremony for the Rock Emperor, so the citizens of Enlightenment City had spontaneously organized a grand ceremony. An altar was built in the city, and billions of citizens of Enlightenment City poured out. There were old people, women, children, and young adults. But everyone had a heavy expression, and there were also old people, women, and children who shed tears. During the calamity of Enlightenment City, all the old people knelt and begged for mercy. They prayed sincerely, hoping that the heavens would pity them. And at that time, billions of citizens of Enlightenment City saw with their own eyes that it was the brave God King, who was now the Rock Emperor. It was him who led many experts like a god. It was the brave God King, the Rock Emperor, who slaughtered many experts of the three empires. For the sake of Enlightenment City, he fought against the enemy and protected the entire city. As for the holy son of the Great Luan sect, he had only arrived later. In the end, the entire nation celebrated without the brave God King, and all the citizens of Enlightenment City felt that the Rock Emperor was unfair to the brave God King. Today, in the grand ceremony, Enlightenment City chose to worship the brave God King, the Rock Emperor. There were old people who read the memorial service with tears in their eyes. The whole city was heavy, and the women and children sobbed. The grand ceremony was so emotional that it could move the heavens. Spirit Realm, Alpha Hall, 7-star luminous pool. Time flowed like water. The next morning, the morning sun was high in the sky. But in this world, the morning sun did not enter. In the sky, stars were faintly hanging, but the daytime covered their radiance. In the 7-star luminous pool, the starlight rippled. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged and did not cause any ripples. ZZZT. Suddenly, the aura around the cross-legged figure that was like a volcano finally began to tremble. The aura began to erupt, and the starlight whirlpool trembled. The energy exploded out of nowhere. Rumble, in this world, the energy in the world began to fluctuate violently. The energy in the world seemed to be attracted by an invisible force and began to gather crazily above the canyon. In the end, it gathered above the canyon and formed a huge energy whirlpool. The terrifying energy whirlpool seemed to want to devour this world. In the end, the terrifying energy surged into the starlight whirlpool in the canyon. Rumble, in the entire mountain range, the wind and clouds surged. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Dark clouds gathered and lightning flashed in the sky. In the darkness, stars fell. In the daytime, starlight appeared, and the Big Dipper was even more dazzling. Accompanied by a terrifying pressure, it spread out in all directions like a tide. Roar, under this terrifying aura, all the beasts in the surrounding mountains screamed and crawled, not daring to move. Why is there such a big commotion? Kwang Zun's figure appeared on the top of the 7 peaks. He looked at the crazy energy in the sky that was pouring into the 7-star luminous pool. The oppressive aura that spread out was definitely extraordinary. It was actually accompanied by a heavenly might. Xiaofu is breaking through. Yu Xianzi's dress fluttered, and her eyes rippled. She was surprised by the aura that spread out from the 7-star luminous pool. That kid is breaking through to the martial emperor realm. Why is there such a big commotion? I'm afraid that even those martial emperors at the Nirvana realm would not be able to cause such a commotion. There's even lightning energy. Kwang Zun was surprised. The aura that spread out was comparable to the Nirvana realm martial emperors. Most importantly, the heavenly might that was spreading out was extremely oppressive. In addition, there was also lightning energy that appeared in the sky. This was too shocking. Lightning energy. Have you forgotten about Xiahou Fenglei? It's not surprising that his disciple has cultivated the lightning ultimacy. Yu Xianzi said softly. She looked around and said, the commotion caused by this guy's breakthrough is not small. I'm afraid that some of the experts nearby will sense it. It doesn't matter if they sense it. It seems that after this kid breaks through, he will really have the chance to stun the 9 major forces in the grand event. Kwang Zun laughed. As Kwang Zun's voice fell, the energy fluctuation in this area became more and more intense. Crash, the rich energy of heaven and earth spread out and endlessly fell into the canyon. Looking from afar, along with the starlight, the colorful energy illuminated the surroundings of the canyon, making it look like a miracle. This frightening commotion naturally attracted the attention of the entire Alpha Hall. In the Alpha Hall, countless disciples rushed out and looked in the direction of the 7-star luminous pool. The terrifying energy fell from the 9 heavens and poured into the sky. The heavenly aura spread out, making people tremble in fear. Is he breaking through to the martial emperor realm? What a terrifying aura. He's really stronger than me. On a mountain peak, Lin Weiqi's graceful figure stood. Her red dress was like fire, looking clean and neat, but also hot and moving. As the crazy energy of heaven and earth poured into the 7-star luminous pool, a majestic aura finally erupted like a suppressed volcano. It could no longer be suppressed and began to erupt. It was as if a peerless ferocious beast had awakened from within. Boom! As this aura erupted, the 7-star luminous pool suddenly shot up into the sky like a bomb. The colorful energy was like a sun soaring into the sky, releasing the energy of heaven and earth. At this moment, the stars in the sky rotated, and countless colorful streams surged. The starlight shone brightly, and a miracle appeared in the sky. Chi chi chi! In the 7-star light pool, in a short period of time, there was an endless and dazzling golden talisman secret inscription light that burst out like a waterfall. The golden talisman light was dazzling, like a sun in the sky. Its power caused the entire space to tremble, as if it wanted to suppress and destroy this space. In a short moment, the golden talisman light began to arrange in midair, condensing into a golden phantom of a 5-fingered mountain. The golden phantom of the mountain was born and evolved in midair as if it had been given life. Dense spiritual energy spread out, connecting with the energy of heaven and earth, and a terrifying power spread out. At this moment, even with Kwang Zun and Yu Xianzi's composure and knowledge, their faces suddenly changed. The golden mountain was born and evolved. At this moment, it seemed to be giving birth to a spirit, as if it was about to come to life. Pressure rolled out, and the surrounding light exploded. Is that the kid's pulse spirit? How can it be so tyrannical? Even the top, Earth pulse spirit doesn't have such power. Kwang Zun was shocked, and he carefully looked at the golden phantom of the mountain. That thing is extraordinary. Perhaps it's not something an ordinary Earth pulse spirit can compare to. Yu Xianzi said softly, the shock in her eyes was no less than Kwang Zun's. At the martial king level, one's meridian soul is nourished by the divine watchtower, which is known as spirit raising. Only then can one's meridian soul communicate with one's fleshly body and become one with the body. This kid's meridian soul is on the verge of a breakthrough. Mad Sovereign exclaimed in delight. Chapter 849. Walala. The talismans on the five-finger mountain started to form, and a powerful life force started to grow in the energy of heaven and earth. Then, the talismans on the five-finger mountain started to change, turning into a golden ape that was half the size of a human. Roar, the golden ape that was half the size of a human roared, and its body was wrapped in light as it roared at the sky. The golden talismans on the surface of the golden ape started to form, communicating with heaven and earth, giving people a feeling that it was the beginning of heaven and earth. The golden ape was exactly the same as Du Xiaoyao's original body. The golden talismans around its body kept surging into its body, causing the surrounding space to ripple violently. Redbone horse monkey, that's a redbone horse monkey. Looking at the golden ape that was half the size of a human in the sky, Yu Xianzi's shocked expression finally calmed down after a while. Yu Xianzi, do you recognize this thing? Kwang Zun asked. At this moment, the supreme aura on the golden ape made him feel fearful. Yu Xianzi looked at the golden ape and exclaimed to Kwang Zun, in the universe, there are 5 spirits, heaven, earth, deity, human, and ghost. There are also 5 insects, Ao, scale, hair, feather, and Kuan. That monkey is not heaven, earth, deity, human, or ghost. It is also not an Ao, scale, hair, feather, or Kuan. It is one of the 4 monkeys of heaven and earth. As a redbone horse monkey, its origin is even more extraordinary. It understands yin and yang, knows how to enter and exit the mortal world. It is a natural-born venerated creature that has surpassed the earth-vein soul. I wonder where Xiaofu got this great opportunity from. The golden ape was psychic, and its aura that was like the beginning of heaven and earth rippled through the entire Alpha Hall. Inside the Dubhe Hall, countless disciples trembled in fear. In the sky, a mysterious white light spread out from the dazzling starlight and golden light at the same time. The white light was like a divine light that was rippling, exuding a pressure that bathed the surroundings in the white divine light, and a wave of pressure spread out. At this moment, it was not difficult for people to notice that within the energy fluctuations, there was another oppressive aura that was rapidly increasing. He has also begun to make a breakthrough in Talisman Dao. He is still breaking through to become a 7-star Talisman Master. Yu Xianzi's beautiful eyes were moved. Even with her cultivation level and mental state, her eyes were still rippling. In a short period of time, a strange energy fluctuation suddenly rippled within the starlight, and a powerful aura suddenly surged out once again. Boom! In an instant, white divine light surged. In an extremely short period of time, the aura surged and broke through an invisible bottleneck. An ancient aura instantly reached a new height. Walala, in the sky, the dazzling white divine light suddenly erupted like a volcano. The white divine light changed, and a terrifying aura rippled. Finally, under the shocked gazes of many in the distance, it directly condensed into an illusory body. This illusory body was dressed in a purple robe. It looked to be 19 or 20 years old, with a resolute face and thick eyebrows that were like swords. It looked more resolute and determined than its peers. The illusory body's eyes suddenly opened, and 2 rays of light shot out like lightning. His eyes contained golden lightning and starlight. An ancient aura swept out from the thin illusory body, causing the surrounding space to tremble. On the mountain peak, Yu Xianzi's eyes rippled as she said, "That's his Yuan spirit. His spiritual soul force has condensed into a Yuan spirit. This kid's Yuan spirit is so powerful. It's impossible to be a match for him in the same cultivation level. It's too terrifying. Fourth brother has taken in an abnormal disciple this time." Kuang Zun couldn't help but exclaim. He could clearly feel the terrifying Yuan spirit contained in the body of the Yuan spirit. It should be impossible to be a match for him in the same cultivation level. He also has a spiritual root. His Yuan spirit contains a spiritual root, and that spiritual root is not an ordinary spiritual root. It's very strong. Yu Xianzi said again. The aura of the spiritual root in the body of the Yuan spirit made her feel a little afraid and oppressed. Judging from the Yuan spirit, that kid is at most 20 years old. He has stepped into the realm of a martial emperor and a 7-star spiritual talisman master. His aura and Yuan spirit are abnormally strong. This time, the 7-star hall has profited. Fourth brother has a successor. Kuang Zun's shocked expression gradually turned into joy, and then he laughed excitedly, as if the one who had broken through was his disciple. In the sky, the illusory body of the Yuan spirit stood in the air, and a strong Yuan spirit spread out, causing the souls of the disciples in the Dubhe Hall to throb. Many people felt their legs go soft under the Yuan spirit's Yuan spirit. Condensed Yuan spirit. That's his original appearance. He's still so young. I'm far inferior to him. On a mountain peak, Lin Weiqi murmured softly. The shock on her beautiful face gradually subsided after a long time. Then, she smiled bitterly, and her heart was filled with complicated feelings. Before the conference of the 7 palaces, she was not even afraid of Dongli Diao. She had dreamed of going to the central state and competing with her peers in the 9 great forces. Among her peers, she had always been the number 1 in the spirit domain. She was not a proud person, but she had a sense of pride. Because she was Lin Weiqi, she should have this kind of pride. However, after the conference of the 7 palaces, she began to doubt her talent. Was she really worthy of being called a genius? If she was a genius, then what was the young man in front of her? He could only be a monster and a pervert. The golden ape roared, and the body of the young man's Yuan spirit floated in the air. The terrifying energy of heaven and earth rumbled and reverberated in all directions. Then, in front of everyone's eyes, a dazzling and vast star energy suddenly shot up into the sky from the 7-star luminous pool. Boom! The dazzling starlight exploded, and a vast aura spread out from the 7-star luminous pool like a tide. The light was so dazzling that the disciples of Sky Pivot Hall in the distance closed their eyes, not daring to look directly at it. After a while, they opened their eyes. Then, everyone saw that in the distance, between the illusory body of the Yuan spirit and the roaring golden ape, there was a young man wearing purple soft armor and a purple mask. An ancient and domineering aura spread out from the young man's body, causing the surrounding space to distort. Initial Martial Royal Realm, Initial 7-star Spirit Talisman Master. Countless people exclaimed. They could feel the 2 terrifying auras. The young man cultivated both martial arts and talisman skills, and he was breaking through at the same time. That is Weapon Sovereign Xiao Feng, the disciple of Weapon Sovereign. In Sky Pivot Hall, a young man said, his eyes full of shock. Rumble, Du Xiaofu stepped into the air, and the 7-star luminous pool below him exploded. The surrounding mountains shook, and the golden ape turned into a golden beam of light, and the body of the Yuan spirit turned into a white divine light, and rushed into Du Xiaofu's body. Boom! At that moment, lightning flashed in the sky, and the stars rotated. A terrifying lightning and dazzling starlight almost distorted the space, and they turned into a lightning and starlight pillar that was dozens of feet tall. It fell from the 9 heavens, passed through the space, and heavily covered Du Xiaofu's body. The space shook, and the surrounding sky changed color. At that moment, the young man's aura rose to its peak. The mighty aura on his body swept through the 9 heavens, and it was surrounded by lightning and thunder. It caused lightning to flash and thunder to rumble, and the wind to surge. Too powerful. He is just an initial martial royal realm and a 7-star spirit talisman master. The terrifying aura rippled out, and the elders in Sky Pivot Hall were shocked. Even some of the ordinary elders in Sky Pivot Hall could not resist such an aura. What a powerful aura. Weapon Sovereign Xiao Feng, you really live up to your reputation. That aura is too powerful. That is Weapon Sovereign Xiao Feng. I did not expect his cultivation to have reached such a terrifying level at such a young age. We are far behind him. At that moment, many young disciples in Sky Pivot Hall broke out into whispers, and their eyes were filled with shock. To be able to become a disciple of Sky Pivot Hall, they were not ordinary people, and they had their own pride. However, at that moment, they knew that they were not worth mentioning in front of the young man in purple soft armor, who had just broken through. This young man has broken through. He has broken through both Talisman Dao and Martial Dao at the same time. He is abnormally strong. On the mountain peak, Kuang Zun looked at the young man in purple soft armor hovering in mid-air with a fiery gaze. He was pleasantly surprised. In the Stone Dragon Empire, the imperial palace was decorated with lanterns and streamers, and there was an astonishing sound wave. The holy son of the Great Will sect, Dongli Qi Huang, and the first princess of the Stone Dragon Empire, Qing Xing Nan, are getting engaged today. The whole empire is celebrating. Roar, as the sound wave fell, the imperial palace was filled with golden light, as if a sun had jumped out. A golden dragon shadow rushed to the top of the main hall, and it occupied the sky above the imperial palace, releasing a dazzling golden light. Countless people in the imperial capital raised their heads to look at the sky. The pressure was so great that it made people tremble and want to crawl. In the main hall of the imperial palace, the first princess, Qing Xing Nan, and the holy son of the Great Will sect, Dongli Qi Huang, stood together. They were like dragons and phoenixes among men, making people envious. The third prince, Qing Chao, had a smile on his face. With a brother-in-law like the holy son of the Great Will sect, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the entire central continent. Sacrifice. In the desolate country's stone city, after the ceremony, the ancient sky sex experts on the altar were shouting. Sacrifice to the emperor, kowtow. The desolate country's grand ceremony was held, and people were kowtowing. There were women, children, and the elderly who were sobbing, and their hearts were filled with sorrow. The desolate country was shaken by the entire country's grand ceremony. Amidst the crowd, there was an invisible chi field, and at this moment, there was a strong aura that soared into the sky. Chapter 850. This aura was extremely mysterious and could only be gathered when the people were united. It was rumored that in ancient times, this power was called faith. It was a mysterious power that could only be produced when the people were united. This power was very similar to the Imperial Palace's dragon aura, but it was more powerful. The Imperial Palace's dragon aura could not directly obtain this power of faith, so it could only be gathered through the Empire's dragon veins and finally formed into Imperial Palace's dragon aura. The power of faith was too difficult to form. It was rumored that only the ancient powerhouses could unite the people and form the power of faith to add to themselves and obtain great benefits. In the divine pivot hall of the spirit realm, the lightning and starlight disappeared and the surroundings returned to normal. Why isn't that kid reacting? What's wrong? On the mountain peak, Kuang Zun was puzzled as he looked at the figure in the sky. Something's not right. Something's not right. Yu Xianzi frowned. She felt an inexplicable aura coming from afar and was about to approach. Something's not right. Kuang Zun's expression changed and his aura surged. He was on guard. Boom! Suddenly, the sky trembled, the 9 heavens shook, and the world changed color. In an instant, a golden brilliance seemed to have come from the depths of the sky. It was like a divine radiance that directly enveloped Du Xiaofu's body. Boom, almost at the same time, the sky shook and a second golden light surged out. It merged with the first and also enveloped Du Xiaofu's body. Golden light enveloped Du Xiaofu. At this moment, a pressure that seemed to come from the heavens and earth spread out around him. This pressure was special and endless. Under the pressure, the people in the divine pivot hall couldn't help but tremble in fear. The weaker disciples of the divine pivot hall couldn't help but prostrate on the ground. In the mountains, thousands of beasts roared and looked up with reverence. In Enlightenment City, hundreds of millions of people worshipped the Rock Emperor and knelt down. The mysterious aura in the city soared into the sky. Faith, that's the power of faith. Xiaofu is absorbing the power of faith. On the mountain peak, Fairy Yu was truly shocked. She looked at the young man who was shrouded in golden light at this moment. It was as if a heavenly deity had descended. That was the legendary power of faith. Those who could obtain the power of faith were all almighty beings in ancient times. And now, the power of faith had actually appeared on that young man. Faith power, the legendary faith power. Where did Xiaofu get the faith power from? Even Sovereign Kuang was stunned, and his eyes were filled with shock. Legend has it that when the power of faith is added to one's body, one would be able to obtain the protection of the heavens, suppress all evil, and increase one's luck. The power of faith is something that only the Almighty of the heavens and earth can obtain. Fairy Yu said softly, and her eyes were unable to calm down for a long time. Extraordinary, this kid is extraordinary. Our 7-star hall is in luck this time. Ha 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 ha, Mad Sovereign laughed heartily. How could he not know what faith power represented? This was the kid's luck, and also the 7-star hall's luck. That kid was able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the almighty beings in ancient times. There was no need to worry that the 7-star hall wouldn't prosper in the world. That guy has been stubborn all his life. His eyes are on the top of his head, and he has never accepted a direct disciple. This time, he has indeed accepted a good disciple. Fairy Yu said softly, and a smile appeared on her face. This disciple belongs to our 4th brother, and also to our 7-star hall. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, Mad Sovereign turned around and looked at Fairy Yu, and said mysteriously, "Second brother, do you still remember the agreement between the 7 of us?" Fairy Yu raised her hand and smiled faintly. At that time, the 7 of us didn't want to submit to each other. After establishing the 7-star hall, we agreed that in the future, if there was someone who could stand out among the younger generation of the 7-star hall and be qualified to be recognized by us, then the 7-star hall would be under the management of the 7-star hall. This way, the 9 major powers of the central continent would be afraid of us. Mad Sovereign looked at the young man who was shrouded in golden brilliance and said to Fairy Yu, "Do you think that kid Xiaofu is qualified?" Fairy Yu raised her head and looked at the young man in the sky. After a while, she said, "My Tianxian Hall can be handed over to him. Tianxian Hall will also be his in the future." Mad Sovereign said. His strong and rough body fluctuated with an aura that caused the surrounding space to distort. Du Xiaofu broke through. At this moment, he was shrouded in golden brilliance and the space trembled. He felt a gorgeous golden passage appear in front of him. The aura that spread in the golden passage made Du Xiaofu feel that he could obtain great benefits. It could nourish his soul and body. Therefore, he stepped in without hesitation. The golden passage seemed to be extremely long. Du Xiaofu felt that he had passed through countless spaces before finally reaching the end. Golden brilliance shone in front of him, and then the space fluctuated. He felt a dazzling light coming and a familiar big city appeared in his sight. The big city was the Stone City. Du Xiaofu couldn't be more familiar with it. Du Xiaofu saw that the Stone City was holding a memorial ceremony. Countless people were kneeling on the ground, and some were shouting his name. The Drug Emperor, Big Sister, Second Brother, First Uncle, Second Uncle, Mysterious Dragon King, Silver-Winged Demonic Condor, Golden Condor King, Extinction Sword King, and many others. There were also many elders and experts of the ancient heaven sect. Many familiar figures appeared in Du Xiaofu's sight. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt that he could blend in with the countless people. He could feel everyone's thoughts. He was able to see through everyone's heart and their thoughts clearly. They were thinking of him. They were sad for him. Some hoped that he could become an expert. Some hoped that he could strengthen the desolate country. There were young people in the Stone City who hoped to become strong and protect the Stone City in the future. Suddenly, the signs in front of him changed. In Du Xiaofu's sight, another familiar place appeared. It was a vast city. Du Xiaofu didn't forget that it was the Enlightenment City. In Enlightenment City, the grand ceremony was also going on at the moment. Du Xiaofu felt that he could also pry into the thoughts of billions of people clearly. They were grateful for his protection. They were grateful for everything that he had done for the Enlightenment City back then. There were old people who were grateful to him. There were women and children who couldn't bear to part with him. There were young people who hoped to become experts and didn't want the Enlightenment City to suffer again. As long as I'm here, I'll protect everyone. Du Xiaofu thought to himself. He was touched. Everything that he had done had a meaning. This was the meaning of protection. There would be people who would remember everything that he had done. As long as I'm here, I'll protect everyone. In the Enlightenment City, the Stone City. Above the sky, golden light suddenly spread out. There was a familiar voice. Vaguely, there was an illusory figure in the sky. However, it disappeared in a short time. Du Xiaofu didn't know that the words in his heart would cause changes in the Stone City and the Enlightenment City. This was the power of faith pulling each other. It's the brave God King. I've seen it before. I won't forget it. That's the voice of the brave God King. There's no mistake. Miracle. This is a miracle. The brave God King has shown himself. In the Enlightenment City, hundreds of millions of eyes were trembling. Everyone was trembling. The brave God King had shown himself. He had shown himself in their prayers. That's Third Brother's voice. It's Third Brother's figure. There's no mistake. In the Stone City, Du Xiaoman and Du Yunlong raised their heads. They looked at each other and trembled. The Rock Emperor has shown himself. It's the Rock Emperor. The Stone City was in an uproar. People were running around to spread the news. The experts of the ancient heaven sect were also amazed. They had witnessed the scene with their own eyes. It was extremely mysterious. Roar! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu heard a dragon's roar. An aura rippled towards him. It seemed to be connected to his aura. Then, the space rippled. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu saw the Stone Dragon Empire's Dragon City. Then, he saw the Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace was filled with joy. It was decorated with lanterns and streamers. At this moment, a man and a woman were standing in the main hall of the Imperial Palace. They were both peerless and outstanding. They were like a golden couple. The Great Will Sect's holy son, Dongli Qi Huang, and our Stone Dragon Empire's first princess, Qing Xingnan, are engaged. They are a match made in heaven. The Great Will Sect will definitely protect our Stone Dragon Empire in the future. The first princess and the Great Will Sect's holy son are engaged. The entire empire is celebrating. They are a match made in heaven. In the Imperial Dragon City, a voice entered Du Xiaofu's mind. Engaged. She's engaged. Du Xiaofu's heart skipped a beat and a ripple appeared in his heart. The scene before him then turned into a mass of light and shattered before disappearing. Spirit Realm, Alpha Hall. In the sky above, the golden light disappeared. The morning sun finally poured down from the sky and illuminated the entire mountain range. It was warm and refreshing. The figure in the sky floated in the air for a moment. Finally, his body trembled slightly. Under the mask, the tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. The light in his eyes was like lightning shooting out. There were purple flames erupting and starlight shining. Under the gazes of the numerous Sky Pivot Hall disciples in the distance, a terrifyingly overbearing aura soared into the sky from within the young body. It caused the clouds in the sky to split apart as if they were being pushed apart by a large invisible hand, while the aura rushed towards the depths of the clouds. The thin purple soft-armored body stood tall in the air. The majestic aura that spread out from his body was like a peerless ferocious beast that had awakened. It rushed into the endless sky. What a terrifying martial emperor! Feeling the terror of that aura, numerous murmurs filled with respect and envy sounded out in the entire Sky Pivot Hall. Today's update is complete. I have finally broken through to the martial emperor realm. The grand event in the Central Plains is about to begin. Chapter 851. Are you engaged? Congratulations, I wish you happiness. In the air, Du Xiaofu took a deep breath and suppressed the complicated feelings in his heart. He didn't know why, but he felt a faint heartache. He then bitterly smiled and murmured, "The saint of the Great Will sect is indeed worthy of you, but what can I give you? I only have revenge for my family and the revenge for the school. I can't fall down because I don't have anyone behind me, so I can't be your support. The school's revenge is as deep as the ocean, and it's hard to have feelings for each other. My heart has already been taken care of by someone else, and we will be strangers from now on." Suppressing the complicated emotions in his heart, Du Xiaofu loosened his clenched fists. He immersed his consciousness into his body and sensed everything that was going on. As he probed with his mind, Du Xiaofu felt that there was a little golden ape entrenched within his divine watchtower. It was exactly the same as Du Xiaoyao's original body. It was his meridian soul that had already gained sentience. This was also the difference between the Martial King realm and the Martial Emperor realm. Within the Naiwan Palace in his mind, the ball that was formed by mental energy and spiritual strength had already turned into a small illusory figure. It was like a miniature version of himself and looked exactly like him. Du Xiaofu knew that it was his primordial spirit. After becoming a 7-star spiritual talisman master, a spiritual talisman master would be able to form his own primordial spirit. If his physical body was unfortunately destroyed, as long as his primordial spirit existed, he would have a chance to recover, just like his elder brother, Zhen Qingchun, and his master, the Honorable Equipment Master. A martial cultivator's primordial spirit could only be formed at the martial honorable realm. Du Xiaofu withdrew his primordial spirit and carefully sensed the changes in his body. He realized that his body had once again undergone a complete transformation. As he probed, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that there was a crystal-clear feeling in his body. Even his internal organs, bones, muscles, and acupoints were filled with light. That was the benefit of being cleansed by the starlight energy. In his body, the expanded spirit watchtower and the surging celestial energy, as well as the vigorous spiritual energy in his primordial spirit, were completely different from before he broke through. Boom! This change caused Du Xiaofu to feel a burst of joy in his heart. He clenched his fist tightly and could not help but punch towards the air. This was a simple punch with a faint electric glow wrapped around it. Immediately, the space trembled, and a series of energy sonic booms resounded. The surrounding space was directly distorted and shattered. A spatial vortex vaguely appeared, as if it was about to explode the space. Faint black spatial cracks spread out from the vortex. It was such a simple punch, yet it was so powerful that Du Xiaofu felt that if he were to meet someone like Chu Jianghuang, he would be able to easily kill him with a single punch. "Xiaofu brat, your strength has increased tremendously." Kuang Zun's voice rang out and two figures silently appeared beside Du Xiaofu. They were none other than Kuang Zun and Yu Xianzi. "Greetings, eldest martial uncle and second martial uncle." Du Xiaofu smiled and bowed. He had to thank the two elders in front of him for this breakthrough. No need for formalities. It's good that you've broken through. There's still half a month before the Heaven's Pride tournament. Prepare well. If you can't enter the top 10, I'll take care of you when I return. Also, don't forget about the Yin Spirit Crystal. Kuang Zun looked at Du Xiaofu with anticipation. The 7-star hall finally had a chance to enter the top 10 in the Heaven's Pride tournament. Du Xiaofu was slightly stunned. Heaven's Pride tournament? Yu Xianzi looked at Du Xiaofu's puzzled expression and said to Du Xiaofu, "It's the Heaven's Pride tournament that I told you about before. It's held once every 30 years. When the time comes, all the young people in the Middle Continent will participate. The 3 sects, 3 factions, 1 valley, 2 schools, and even our 7-star hall will participate. It's incomparably dangerous, but there are also great opportunities inside. At the same time, it's the responsibility of the entire Middle Continent." Then, Du Xiaofu learned about the history and information of the Heaven's Pride tournament from Yu Xianzi and Kuang Zun. Rumor had it that a long, long time ago, the heavens and earth were in turmoil, and living beings were slaughtering each other. It was the end of the world. One day, a supreme expert descended and stopped the slaughter with his own strength. He sealed the entire battlefield and left behind a thunder god cauldron to suppress the evil spirits on the battlefield. Back then, when the heavens and earth were in turmoil, there were more than billions of evil spirits on the battlefield. It was an ancient land that was full of mysteries. As time passed, countless living beings were born. Within the sealed ancient land, the living beings that were born were all evil spirits. In order to prevent the evil spirits from gathering and eventually becoming uncontrollable, the ancient land seal would open once every 30 years to allow people to enter and cleanse the evil spirits and evil spirits. At the same time, they would obtain endless opportunities. However, the seal also had restrictions. It could only allow cultivators below the martial royal realm to enter. In the end, they could obtain great benefits. However, all of this could only be obtained by the younger generation. As for the older generation, even if their cultivation had not exceeded the martial royal realm, once they entered the ancient land, they would immediately be suppressed and killed. Therefore, every 30 years, the ancient land's seal would open and only the younger generation could enter. This was also the responsibility of the entire Middle Continent. Rumor had it that once the evil spirits in the sealed land reached a peak, the seal would break. At that time, the entire Middle Continent would be plunged into misery and suffering and become a demon's domain. Every 30 years, the younger generation of the entire Middle Continent would enter to cleanse the evil spirits as their responsibility. At the same time, they also desired to obtain endless opportunities. Rumor had it that there was a possibility of obtaining an ancient inheritance in the ancient land. At that time, one would be able to rise out of the blue and become a top expert in the world. Xiaofu, in the Heavenly Pride competition, you will lead the disciples of the 7-star hall to participate in the ancient sealed land. It is extremely dangerous inside. Although the evil spirits are cleansed every 30 years, there is no lack of powerful evil spirits and evil spirits. In a courtyard on a mountain peak in Dubhe Hall, no disciple could get close to it. This was the forbidden area of Dubhe Hall. Yu Xianzi looked at Du Xiaofu seriously and continued to warn him, "If you're unlucky, it's not impossible to encounter an evil creature that surpasses the Emperor realm. Every time, even the 3 sects, 3 schools, and other forces like the 1 valley, 2 religions, 3 sects, 3 schools, and other forces, there are many more people who have died in the sealed land. Therefore, you must not be careless and be careful. However, if there is a chance, you must fight for the final benefits with all your might. It will be a great opportunity. If you miss this opportunity, you will never have such an opportunity in the future." Second martial uncle, what kind of great opportunity will there be at the end? Du Xiaofu asked curiously and made a mental note of it. Even second martial aunt, Fairy Yu, felt that it was an enormous opportunity. One could well imagine how enormous that opportunity was. It was something that could only be encountered by chance and not sought after. That is divine thunder body tempering. It can directly improve martial veins and spirit roots. Kuang Zun said to Du Xiaofu first. His rough figure and aura rippled as he looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Xiaofu, do you know why the One Valley, 2 sects and 3 factions in Spirit Realm are afraid of our 7-star hall? In fact, our 7-star hall does not have the rich foundation of the One Valley, 2 sects and 3 factions. Looking at eldest martial uncle Kuang Zun, Du Xiaofu shook his head. The One Valley, 2 sects and 3 factions are restraining each other. No one wants to let others obtain Spirit Realm. This is the main reason. Kuang Zun's eyes lit up slightly as he continued to say to Du Xiaofu, more importantly, they know that we and your master are not to be trifled with. If any of the forces of the One Valley, 2 sects and 3 factions provoke us, they will suffer great losses. Du Xiaofu nodded. He did not doubt eldest martial uncle Kuang Zun's words at all. With eldest martial uncle and his master's strength, if the 7 of them worked together, the 9 forces of the One Valley, 2 sects and 3 factions would suffer great losses and pay a terrible price. The 9 forces also restrained each other. That was why Spirit Realm was in such a state today. The 9 forces could not touch Spirit Realm and the rise of the 7-star hall. They are afraid of us because there are 6 human sovereigns among the 7 of us. Kuang Zun looked at Du Xiaofu with undisguised pride. He said, Boy, do you know how many martial veins and spirit roots are divided into? As far as this disciple knows, martial veins are divided into human outstanding, human monarch, and human sovereign. Du Xiaofu was shocked. There were 6 human sovereigns among the 7 hall masters of the 7-star hall. Sima Muhan of the Ancient Heaven sect was also a human sovereign. Such people were too rare, even rarer than phoenix feathers and qilin horns. However, every human sovereign was terrifying. It was not a big problem for them to kill people of the same cultivation level. They were not people of the same cultivation level as them. By the way, eldest martial uncle, why are there only 6 human sovereigns among the 7 of you? Is there anyone else who is not a human sovereign? Du Xiaofu was curious. He did not know which hall master was not a human sovereign. Sovereign Kuang chuckled proudly. Yu Xianzi looked at Du Xiaofu and said softly, there is also your master Xiahou Fenglei. He is not a human sovereign. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.